Welcome to Voyage of the Geek for another week. Joining me always, Stan Miller,
Hello.
Tom McGill,
Guten Abend.
and a regular revisiting the panel, Rick Legato.
Hola.
How are we, gentlemen?
Good. Not too bad.
Yeah. Very excited to. Oh, the spoiler is up. The film we're going to be having a look at tonight is the most recent DCEU contribution, the Justice League. Lots been said about this film since its leading up to its release, and then maybe more has been said since its release.
Probably lots more.
But I think most of us didn't see it until recently. We enjoyed it in the cinema, in the local Voyage of the Geek cinema only last week. But how did you find this one, guys? What was your initial audience response to this particular film?
We should also just highlight there will be spoilers.
Heavy
Spoilers.
spoilers.
You should rename the show so that that's just clear.
Spoiled. Completely spoiled.
We watch it so you don't have to.
Yeah, we spoil it so you don't have to.
So for me personally, I didn't see it in the cinemas. I didn't really keep an eye on it. I kept an eye on a lot of the rhetoric and reporting that was going on by just about everybody, and that was hilarious. And I didn't have very high hopes for this particular film, but yeah, and so I didn't see it really until last week. I sort of held out until there was a Blu-ray release, and then we watched the Blu-ray last week, and I'll reserve my opinion until we get into it a little bit. What about you, Dan?
I'd heard about it and watched everybody talking about it, but I never saw it. And when it came out, and I was never sort of super keen to see it, on day one. But of course, when it pops up down at the Voyage of the Geek cinema complex downstairs, I was pretty keen. So no, it kind of slipped under the radar a bit for me.
What about you, Rick?
I don't get to see any films now because I have a 1-year-old.
That's right. Well, you do, but they're Peppa Pig and
that's right.
The Peppa Pig extended universe.
Yeah, I miss going out to the cinema and such things.
You're not missing much.
So I watched that with said Sprog and wife on a lounge last night. I didn't have high hopes for it either. It was better than I imagined.
Yep.
But I'm very picky anytime Batman's on the screen. I'm a big Batman fan.
Yep.
And so the fact that Ben Affleck was doing Batman already upsets me and hurts my soul.
So you went into the Batfleck as sort of with a negative connotation. You already had an opinion going into whether he would pull that off or not.
Yeah, and I used to enjoy the Justice League cartoon.
Who didn't enjoy the Justice League?
You mean the old Justice League with the Wonder Twins?
Yes.
With their Wonder
Form of
water.
Yeah, ice cube.
And every time he went into water, she had to be a bucket.
Yeah,
otherwise he was
shape
fucked.
of
Otherwise he was
elephant
he
with
was
trunk.
form of a puddle if she wasn't a bucket.
Suck up water.
I don't remember the Wonder Twins.
Yeah,
Maybe
the
I
Wonder
blocked them
Twins,
out.
and they had a monkey. There was
Twins
a,
power activate. Yes, with a super long
there
tail.
was a monkey with a long tail
Forgotten what his
that
name
used
was.
to carry the bucket with.
Yeah, one or two of the minutes, and
'Cause
they'd
she
splash
was a
Electro
bucket.
Man, and he'd short out or
She was a
something like
bucket,
that.
he was water, and so no one could get no one had legs, so they had to have a monkey to carry the
Yeah,
bucket.
why
of
didn't they
water.
have the Wonder Twins in Justice League?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what you funny people are talking about.
No, not right.
Wonder
Did
Woman.
you see the Wonder Twins?
Come on, Wonder Woman used to fly around in an invisible jet, so really it was just a chick
With a dotted line jet.
With a sort of little bit of highlight around it, and she was just in a seated position.
When I was a kid, we watched Pippi Longstockings, not Justice League.
So you'll be leaving.
I'm too old.
So what about you, Tom?
I think like everyone, I stayed away from the film. I think sounds like all our expectations were suitably stunted by the internet and all the reviews that the film got. I have a 13-year-old who is totally into all the superhero films, and he begged me to take him to the movies, and I said, I'm not paying for this piece of film. So I have to wait till it comes out on DVD. And so there were other films that we went to together, so he didn't go without movies. But yeah, I didn't feel like I wanted to pay money.
And that was heavily affected by what you'd read and seen
by what I've
leading
read.
up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we'll touch on that later.
yeah.
'Cause I think that we're dealing with a phenomenon here.
It's a good thing when you go into the movie with low expectations, because either it can't easily disappoint you anymore. You already have the low expectations, so either it justifies them and then you go out and think, yeah, that's what I thought, or it might improve and you think, oh, it was better than I thought.
Yeah. But either way, you're impacted by the peanut gallery leading into
always.
it.
I enjoy sometimes seeing movies without knowing anything about them. I really enjoy that, but it's very difficult.
It takes an effort.
I
takes
love
real effort to actually be able to achieve that nowadays. Because it comes
difficult,
from everywhere. You're getting it from everywhere.
I like to do that for selected movies. You know, something that you're pretty
excited about.
Excited about, and you don't want to be spoiled.
You tried to do that with Last Jedi.
I tried to.
It didn't work too well.
Even when we're walking into the cinema, Tom kind of sided up to me and he says, you know, you shouldn't have your expectations too high.
That's right. All right. So let's have a look at a couple of quick facts before we get into the narrative of it. 2017, directed by Zack Snyder. Tragedy struck Zack Snyder in the tail end of production on this film with his young daughter committing suicide. And his wife is his production partner. Initially, apparently, they wanted to continue on and soldier on as part of a mechanism to try to get through the loss, but that didn't last very long. And after a couple of months, they decided to take some time away. And then Joss Whedon stepped in, mainly because DC had already contracted him to do Batgirl.
Wasn't Joss Whedon already working on Justice League as well as the...
I think he was one of the writers.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, one of the writers.
Yeah.
So he kind of stepped up to...
He had the same vision.
Push it over the line.
Like, I think him and Zack
we
Snyder
can
were
debate
on
about
the
this,
same page.
but I don't know if he does have the same vision.
Well, he didn't certainly have the same vision when it came to the music, because he sacked Junkie XL, who was the music...
Oh, didn't they do the Wonder Woman
They got
theme?
rid of... Well, Junkie XL did the Wonder Woman theme with...
Which was fucking awesome.
With Zimmer.
Yeah,
Zimmer. There was a combined thing. Zimmer was set to do the music for this film,
right,
for Justice League, and then quit the superhero business as far as composing, and went off to do Lara Croft.
Oh, okay.
So not a big leap.
No, that's not.
Slight leap to the left.
Nothing with capes anymore. That's my motto.
Which should have been. Yeah, that's what he should have said. But instead of Zimmer, they went with Junkie XL, who, as you say, they paired up to do the Wonder Woman, which is a pretty good soundtrack.
Yeah, it was bloody awesome.
But then one of the first things that Whedon did was got rid of Junkie XL and brought in
somebody else.
Danny Elfman.
Oh,
that's
really?
true. I read his name in the credits. Yes.
Danny Elfman.
I'll have to listen to the movie again.
I love every time I hear that name. There's the 3 Family Guy Star Wars episodes that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant, all 3 of them. But one of them is they take the piss, or it's Luke staring out to the 2 suns across the dunes, and then in the background is the full symphony doing that big Luke theme.
Yeah.
And I think someone runs on and chops John Williams' head off or something with a lightsaber, and then Luke says, "Oh no, now we have to use Danny Elfman," and they start boom, 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 boom. They start to do this fucking what's the Home Alone, like when you look at his
Simpsons?
Yeah. So yes, you might be right. He might have had quite an effect on the tone of it.
Well, that is already a tonal shift, isn't it? Because
music,
it was the crazy XL, whatever they were, I can't remember, Junkie XL, that would have been hardcore. That would have been sort of serious.
He's an electro.
Metal.
I've got CD singles that I used to play in ye olde DJ nightclub days that were Junkie XL remixes and.
So that's
things
already
like
a tonal change from hardcore down to let's have a bit of fun.
that. Yeah, absolutely. It's got music's got a big effect. So obviously starring Ben Affleck, Batman, Gal Gadot as it's Gal Gadot.
She's got a dot.
Yeah, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
There's a dot on the end.
Jason Momoa as
Aquadude.
Ray Fisher as Cyborg. Ezra Miller, who won a Best Comedy Actor award by some obscure film group for this part.
Okay.
Yeah.
A very obscure award.
Yeah, exactly. A great role played by Jeremy Irons in this film of Alfred, who doesn't do a lot of butling.
True.
He's
Be mixing some scrambled eggs or something in the
more of
background.
a mechanic,
Dusting,
hacker
perhaps.
type dude. And have I missed anyone out on our? And then Amy Adams as Lois Lane.
Yeah.
So that's the cast.
And nobody is Steppenwolf.
And we'll talk about budget and box office after we have a bit of a chat about narrative. So what we normally do is we go through the film. We use the narrative to progress our conversation through the film. We stop along the way with things that are interesting. That could be from visual effects, music, special effects, plot, character, you name it. Anything that sort of sticks out as we go. And Dan is our master of ceremonies of all things narrative. So Dan, drive us away. Where do we start with this particular film?
I think we should actually just take one quick step backwards and just remember a couple of Tony themey things, like the theme of the whole movie. If you can summarise it down into a few words, that's probably important.
Mm-hmm. Well, they do have some taglines via our good friends over at IMDb. They're not very interesting taglines.
Okay, what are
there
the
wasn't a lot
taglines?
of thought put into them. Someone obviously said, we want taglines, but we want them to be as few words as possible.
Okay.
Number one, unite.
Okay.
One worder. Number two, justice for all.
It's a
I've seen
metallic.
both of those on posters. Number three, unite the league.
Okay.
Number four, you can't save the world alone. And I think they came up with that. There's a poster where they've taken letters from each word and they've put them into the logos of the heroes. So save is A for Aquaman. They take the A.
Okay,
and,
right.
Batman, they take another. But and then all in is another tagline.
I think they all suck.
Yeah, and the last one there is stronger together in IMAX.
No, they all suck.
Yeah,
They're
every
terrible.
single one of those sucks. If you look at the actual film synopsis or elevator pitch type thing, it's fueled by his restored faith in humanity and inspired by Superman's selfless act. Bruce Wayne enlists the help of his newfound ally, Diana Prince, to face an even greater enemy.
You know the B-grade movies that we review, where they say, smashing across time and the interdimensional rift of doom?
Yes.
You know, I think it needs a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one of the things, the theme. What's the theme of the whole thing, right? This
Yep.
is the stylistic, genre-y sort of vision. Another one that comes up a lot is, and really I'm actually drawing together a whole bunch of things that other people have talked a lot about.
Yep.
So it's the theme, the characters,
Yep.
and the visual effects.
Yep.
And the story. Sorry, but we're going to do
And
the
the
story.
and the tone is across all of those. The general darkness, lightness of the film.
Yeah,
itself.
what is the film about? If you can sort of distill it after we talk about it, distill it down into a short pithy sentence, you know, that's something to consider while we go through the thing. All right, so it starts off on YouTube.
Yeah. It starts off with someone on their mobile phone filming
Superman.
asking him some questions at some sort of emergency.
Do you fight hippopotamuses?
Yeah.
And one of the telling things that I think happens in that is one of the little kids says, "What's the best thing about planet Earth?" Which is the exact sort of question that a child would never ask.
Absolutely.
They want to know if he's fought hippopotamuses or not.
Yep.
But what's his response?
think, cut the shot.
Yeah, giggle, and then fly away. It's like, I thought that. Now, I don't. Everybody who does a review of this film starts to bag it quite a lot, and I don't want to get too much into the bagging it.
Yep.
You guys can be villains if you want. I'm a bit of a hero and a bit of hero mode, but I thought when Superman had nothing to say about why he likes the planet Earth, I thought that was a bit of a missed opportunity.
Absolutely. Yep. And it was made even more awkward and weird by the silly questions that were asked before it, and the premise of the actual kids holding a phone, and there was an opportunity missed. You're right. There was.
And if you imagine a Superman, and I'm not a big fan of Superman, I don't know much about Superman, but if I imagine, he would have put his hands on his hips and he would have said something like,
Truth.
Have you brushed your teeth today, Johnny?
Justice.
The
American way.
No, Superman, I didn't. Well, tooth decay is a very important thing you should be careful about. Anyway, up and away. And off he flies. Rather than not having any answer.
Yep.
All right, anyway. So then we get started.
The credits. What do we think of the credits?
Oh yes, the credits.
Credits were interesting because they were very. I think we get the mobile phone thing and then the credits roll.
Yes.
And the credits are all about mourning Superman, and we see a bunch of shots from all over the world, and there's big Superman banners draped all over the.
And the theme is everybody knows. That everything is terrible.
And it was quite a haunting sort of.
Everybody knows all the good guys die.
The world mourns to the music
everybody
of Leonard
knows.
Cohen.
Everything sucks.
And racism and homelessness run rampant.
Yep.
Yes.
Because that's
right.
what we see. We see people beating up Islamic
That's
people.
Muslims are getting picked on in stores.
Yes, having
what
their
they call.
peaches destroyed.
Their butternut pumpkins and peaches kicked.
Thrown.
And we have people that are homeless on the road with a sign saying "I tried," which I don't get. I guess there's an inside thing that I didn't get.
It said,
I tried.
Yeah, and I didn't get that.
I felt like I was on the outside of that joke.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
I didn't. Did anyone get it? Out of four of us, did one of us get what the hell they meant by that?
No, it was just.
I assumed it was a sort of a American-centric thing. I could be wrong. About I tried.
Like I gave it a go.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
And
now give me money.
Well, I
Maybe
saw
it's a
it.
common thing for beggars. We don't see a lot of beggars in our
Not in Canberra.
in the city that we live in.
I sort of thought it was more with the theme that he'd given up, because he didn't even speak or move.
Yeah,
He's just like, fuck it.
yeah,
I'll just sit here until I die.
yeah.
But I must also say that Superman dying, for people like me who hadn't seen the other ones, it was like, hey, this is really important to the film. You need to know that Superman died.
You saw the Batman
True.
Superman.
No, I
Oh, you haven't seen it?
So
Okay.
I think it was for the people like me
Yep.
who could just walk in and go, hey, by the way, Superman died and everyone's really sad. You need to know that to understand the rest of the film. So here it is.
Yeah, and you got the sense that the film had not progressed in time much beyond Superman versus Batman. Like there were still shrines, lots of fresh flowers being left at shrines and things like that. So this film, to me, felt like it took place quite soon after the events of the last one.
And again, because I must stipulate, I'm not trying to be the villain here, but it does start off with a dreary, morbid tone.
Yes,
It's like,
yes.
let's go and see a movie.
Yes.
And it's,
Yeah.
Imagine if Indiana Jones starts that way,
Yep.
Why bother go and find things in tombs?
And that's
They're all dusty anyway.
Does it feel uncommon for a hero movie?
I thought
comic
I
book?
did find it fitting because we want to build that. We want to justify why Batman
Yeah.
puts a team together, right?
Yeah.
So the world has lost something. We need to justify the Justice League.
Yeah, I
agree,
saw.
Tom.
I came down that side of that. I recognise what you're talking about because it's not common. Normally, a Superman film is some kind of action sequence or some kind of superhero film. It starts with a pulse,
With a bang,
pulse
with a-
racing thing.
Because we eventually get to that bit with Wonder Woman and she's dancing around and saving the day.
Yeah.
But we didn't start with that.
No.
But it's also a valid point that you can start with that as the low ebb, and we're going to all go to the high bit. But anyway.
Yep.
Okay, so the next one is there's a burglar, and he's robbing some place on the top of a building.
Comes out with a big sack over his
With a
back.
big
like
sack with some candelabras.
That's
and
right.
I
some,
would expected him to have a little mask over
and a
his
stripy
eyes.
shirt.
yeah,
Down there,
yeah,
just on the stripy
horizontal
shirt.
stripy shirt. up in the rooftops of Gotham somewhere with steam and everything going off.
Did you get the sense that that whole set piece felt very in A over B, like from a compositor's standpoint, it felt A over B to me. Like it was very green screen shot in a sound stage. It didn't feel like it was in a city.
Well, this is one of our topics that we have going on underneath is the visual effects.
Yeah.
And when reviewing it, or watching other people's reviews, because this time around I was really interested. I watched loads of other people's reviews, and time and time again, the visual effects comes up.
Yeah.
And with that shot there.
That
No,
one.
there's a lot of them.
I would have just.
No, there's a
mentioned
lot
that
of them,
just
and it's one of the worst.
Yes.
When you look at the credits for the visual effects houses that worked on this film, there's one name missing, and it explains what we're talking about.
What's the name missing?
ILM.
Oh, right. Okay.
Weta's on board.
Okay.
Frame Store. There's just about every, like the list is about 15 houses, but the one name missing is ILM. Now ILM, without doubt, they are the best visual effects compositing house on the planet. When it comes to putting elements together to make them look real, look at any Transformers film, right? Those fucking robots look real. Right? They look like they're in that space. Weta, they do creatures really well. This mob, they do water really well. You know, everybody has their strengths. But when it comes to compositing over real life footage and getting it to look like it's shot in camera and in a real world, no one beats ILM. And I think this film suffers from it.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, because there were some very dry kind of shots that kind of looked like they were green screen.
So now, having said that, though, Weta is, after watching the Monkey movies, the Planet of the Apes films, especially the last one, they're a lot better than they've ever been, and they're almost to the level of ILM. But there's no guarantee that Weta had anything to do with the actual that side of the compositing for this film. It's really hard to know who did what. We're not sort of tapped into that.
And sometimes it's just a matter of getting the film out on time.
Yeah.
If they had delays, they had to spend 25 millions for erasing upper lip hair. They might not have had any time or money left to do some other shots better.
And those are probably lots of pickup shots and extra shots, so they're probably fairly pushed for time.
Yeah, so globally this film suffered for green screen compositing.
So that was one of them. So, and part of it is that when I hear lots of people talk about it, they said, you know, there was something wrong with the visual effects. They didn't like it, or they thought it was too much. So there was the two main complaints. But one of them is the compositing is very dry and very simplistic. And
so
very
just
flat.
for people who are not watching, so when Dan said, "Oh, that shot," that was meaning when there's a establishing shot of Wonder Woman standing on the top of the Old Bailey Court in London, on the Justice. You see
standing on the
statue?
arm of the
woman who's
the woman
of
the
Justice
Scales.
And the compositing in that one is pretty
flat.
not the matching, the hair in front of the background.
Oh, the
just
lighting
doesn't-
was terrible. It
it's-
just
it
looked
doesn't
like a
fit.
staged thing.
And the shadows in the background,
Yep.
the buildings.
Yep.
It actually reminded me a little bit of one of the shows I watch is the Murdoch Mystery.
Oh, yes.
And
awesome
they
show.
try to push. I mean, obviously they've got very limited time and budget, and their backdrops of turn of the century Toronto are getting better.
Yeah.
But you can see the cheapness,
And
Well-
and
by
they
the same-
reminded me of that.
By the same token, Game of Thrones, no one
Yeah.
ever questions their green screen stuff.
No.
But the Murdoch Mysteries specifically, they are made from old photographs. So they're taking original photographs of Toronto and then cutting them out and doing some 2.5D with them, and then compositing some moving characters in there, which I thought was fantastic. It doesn't look real, but it looks like an old bloody photos that has been three-dimensional.
Yeah. Well, I was particularly thinking of things in the distance in the background. That's probably the weakest part of.
Yeah. And budget can sort of explain that. This thing,
Yeah.
$300 million is the estimated budget. If you go to Box Office Mojo, budget is listed as NA, right? So obviously Box Office Mojo reach out to the production studios and try to get those figures, and DC didn't release it, but it's known if you go through IMDb, which is much more plugged into the industry, 300 million. It certainly didn't make that much money. We'll talk about it later. But for that sort of budget, there's no excuse for bad comping.
All right. So the burglar comes out of the thing. He turns around over his head, and then there's Batman sitting on a gargoyle looking straight at him. And he gets all frightened, and then he turns around and tries to shoot Batman. Blah, blah, blah. Batman puts a lasso around him and then dangles him over the edge of a building.
And why does he do that, Dan?
And why does he do that?
Tom, why does he do that?
Because he's run out of Scarecrow's canisters of fear gas.
No.
I would have thought he wants the smell of fear.
Yeah.
He wants the guy to fear. I would have
He's-
thought if he wants that, he's probably can ask his pal Scarecrow to throw
He's
him a canister
fear fishing.
and throw a bit of fear around the city. But no, he has to take a guy, dangle him off the roof just to lure a vampire insect.
I sort of like
Thing.
that about Batman, though. That like he'll sort of bend the rules a little bit.
Oh,
like,
you would?
There's like
But that's
Superman.
a bit
Superman
silly.
would never do that.
Well,
He would have other means at his
Well,
disposal.
he would.
we have a
certainly-
Batman fan here.
He would certainly. He is certainly that's a boundary he's left a long time ago. My thing when I first started watching that, I thought, why is he after that small fry?
yeah,
And then I realised, he just needs your average
bit of bait.
a bit of bait.
Cool.
I never saw it as he was being that smart and that forward thinking. I thought, he just dangled the guy over. He's like, ha ha ha, this guy will have to.
No, what do you
scare the
want
shit
from
out of
me?
And then the bat, then the bug flies up, and he's like, oh fuck.
No, the guy
you
says,
didn't
what
get
do you
it.
want from me? And Batman says,
Fear.
No, he was fear fishing.
he was fishing for the
Oh
vampire
yeah, because
thing.
those bug things like
Attracted-
fear.
They
and
feed on it.
Yeah,
That's
right.
right.
They feed on it.
Okay.
Important plot point.
I'm getting with it now.
Have you seen the movie, Dan?
Watched
You
the
watch
thing
film,
3
Dan?
damn times.
Beautiful. It's not me this time.
No, that's fair enough. That's
Yep.
fair enough.
Yep.
Okay, so then the bug comes up, and there's a big fight, Batman and Bugman,
They fly several city blocks through the air
and
in a big circle.
and land exactly where the burglar was before, so that the burglar could do some expository dialogue.
Afterwards,
Yes, they land exactly where the script is on the top of the building, and then the bug blows up. And for some reason, when bugs blow up, their guts turn into the evil plan that people are going to be doing.
I found
Symbols.
that a little interesting.
Yeah.
On a number
Yeah.
of levels.
Yeah.
And I'm saying interesting.
You're
but
being
it's-
generous
yeah,
with the
that's
word
right.
interesting.
So what are you guys? You guys are DC
Not I.
Absolute
files,
freaks.
right? Well,
Yeah.
you're certainly more into the comics than I
I'm
am.
more into the
Yeah.
Marvel side of
Is
things.
this a
I
common
didn't read
thing?
much
Do we
DC.
have henchmen of the Nemesis usually explode and then leave a blueprint of the actual plan?
Not since the early 1980s.
It's fucking weird. It's a really weird thing. Like symbology, I get it, and it's all through Lex Luthor's notes and whatever. But I don't know. They could have put it on a bit of parchment in the creature's belt or something.
Yeah, there
but
could have
to-
been lots of.
Yeah.
But to explode in the perfect pattern of the three
Yeah, I mean,
items, the
Why not have
MacGuffins. that-
some gem or icon inside them that falls to the
It's
ground?
just-
They've got a mobile phone with
Yeah.
Steppenwolf in his address thing.
Yeah, because it stands to reason they're out hunting these things,
Yeah.
right? So they should have some. But the fact that it explodes blade style, vampire style, and then leaves a perfect outline of the thing that they're
Yeah.
after.
When I see those moments, I assume an important suit had an idea.
Yeah.
And they've, I've got a great idea. How about when the bugs blow up, you get the symbol?
Yeah.
And the person that came up with that idea was important enough that no one else who was actually making the film could go,
Yeah.
that is dumb shit. And just had to go
Was
with
it such a good idea by that guy that he thought that they should do an entire sequence on a rooftop? Do you think that whole sequence came about for that graphic?
It could be that.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
what's the point of it?
Because they use that later, Jeremy Irons and, they're in the Batcave or something, rather, and they've got a whole pile of these graphics.
It was like Alfred is seeing
Alfred, not Jeremy Irons.
Same guy. He's seeing what Batman is seeing, and he sees those things when the creature explodes. But he's also got
A few other examples.
Lex Luthor's
from-
stuff
yeah.
on these other monitors,
Yeah.
and he makes the comment like these match the symbols in Lex Luthor's thing. But it makes you wonder whether, exactly as you're saying, some producer over a Chardonnay lunch has come up with an idea and said, that deserves a whole scene. Like, we should do a whole sequence, and it takes place, and there's the guy, and we dangle him, and they go up on the fear, and then some other, because they've onto their fourth glass of Chardonnay. That's a perfect idea. That's what we need to do. We need to open the film with that shit.
Yeah.
That's what I call
The boxes are in their DNA, man. So when they explode, it makes box shapes.
Yeah, it's the Barbara Streisand's hairdresser syndrome.
It's
Now,
not
the
even-
purists might take us to task and say, no, these are creatures of the mother boxes, and they all do that. They all die that way.
Yeah, there's a name for those people.
Yeah. Yes, there is.
And it's not even the end of the weirdness before that segment is over, because then at the end, the bound up thief hops into shots and says, I'm a Superman.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
gone.
That's right.
Now I have to burgle
Yeah.
without
right.
being caught.
All right, what happens next? Bunch of baddies go into a place and they're going to blow up the place.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
the Old Bailey.
The Old Bailey.
Cool.
So
And not just the place. They want to blow up 4 city blocks.
they're going to blow
Not
up. Yes,
just the
'cause
place.
they've got a very big bomb.
Yeah, but they're there to make a big statement.
Yep.
Yep.
They're going to blow us back into the Dark Ages. Is their sort of plan for some reason?
Yep.
And
We
so
don't really know who they are, where they're from. We just say nondescript terrorists.
They say their name because she interrogates one of them with a lasso of truth, and he says, "Yeah, we're the Islam, we're the jihads of truth or whatever."
Now, what you're referring to is the Wonder Woman taint shot, right? Where she's dangling a guy with a low worm's eye view camera looking up, and the area of her crutch takes up 20% of the action. I remember looking at it thinking,
I didn't know
that is the weirdest shot I've ever seen in cinema history. Like, it is quite literally a taint shot. Like, it is literally focusing on the area between her belt and the back of her belt. And all the bit in between is right there, taking up nearly a third of the shot. And it's a worm's eye camera. Next time when you get home, have a look at the shot, and you'll see it, and you'll say, I've never seen a shot like that in a film, ever.
We could call that the gynecologist's angle.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. While she's interrogating the bad guy. Put those two things together and you'll never see him again. You'll never see a bad guy interrogation shot from that angle ever again.
Interrogated by a miniskirt. All right, so they're going to blow things up, and so this is Wonder Woman's introduction. We had Batman just a second ago.
Yes.
So now it's Wonder Woman's turn. She's badly CGI'd that's when she's on the Old Bailey, standing there, and you hear the little theme in the background.
Yep.
And she jumps down and she beats up all the bad guys, and
Which is
it's
awesome.
really awesome.
This is really the first action sequence of the film, isn't it? We couldn't really call what Batman did as an action sequence. He sort of flew around with that creature thing, and
He sat on it.
yeah.
It was a plot MacGuffin.
There's the short fight between the burglar and Batman.
Yeah.
He fires at Batman.
But compare it to Wonder Woman's sequence.
Yeah.
This is a real superhero sequence.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially when she takes on a fully automatic weapon and a group, and gets in between a fully automatic weapon and a group of people and saves them all by ching 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 ching.
Yep.
By throwing the bomb out of the building, which then explodes like a firecracker.
Yeah.
I don't know how that was meant to bring down 4 city blocks.
Exactly.
Just poof.
Yeah. She certainly didn't throw it 4 city blocks up.
No.
No, I know. I noticed that. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
Maybe there's lots of gas in the Old Bailey.
Yeah.
Old gas.
Debris. They were
Things
relying
that
on the
there
outward
was-
debris.
Yeah. Chain ball effect of some sort.
I don't know how to defuse a bomb, but if you just had the terrorist bomb where there's a timer connected to sticks of
Pull a wire
dynamite,
out.
if you just
Pull the wire out.
pull most of the wires out.
There's a
it's probably
timer
defused.
thing. There's the explosion stuff. Pull the wire out.
It's not got booby traps on it. It's just a bomb. All right, what's the next one? The next story beat I've got is Aqua Cold.
is that when he goes to Norway
Well,
or
see,
wherever?
Bruce makes a decision to go north. He says, Alfred, I go north tonight.
Yes.
So how does he go north? This is the richest man around.
I don't know. All we see is he's
He's on a
walking
fucking
along.
horse, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's on a fucking horse. I can't understand why he needed to take a horse.
That's the
north.
most expensive horse in the world. Dude.
What? Give me.
We didn't want to look like Batman coming in a fancy
because-
machine.
But he could have landed over the other side of the hill in the fancy Batman.
I
probably
bet
did.
you he did.
He probably
I bet
did.
you he did.
He took his own horse.
He's got the horsemobile just over there. The Bat Horse. The Bat Horsemobile. The Bat Horse trailer.
Yeah, nice. So he turns up in a Armani suit and he just puts a sort of an overalls jacket pants combo that zips up and looks like he's on horse riding gear.
Yeah.
And rides over the hill.
So he gallops down there and he's going to talk with the local villagers because he's got this, he thinks that there's some magic hero dude.
That's right.
He's heard
And
a rumor.
realistically, Batman is using Lex Luthor's research from the previous film.
True, that's right, yes.
It's Lex Luthor that found Diana, the Wonder Woman, the Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman.
Yep.
I didn't realise that.
So he's using Lex Luthor because he hacked a Lex Luthor in the previous film.
That could have been a little more obvious in the film, I think.
If
That
you
was
hadn't seen the previous one,
was fairly subtle.
yeah.
Anyway, he's going down there looking for Aquaman. Turns out Aquaman's in the room where he goes down and talks to everybody. So
Actually,
That was
just
a bit of luck.
there's a bit of luck.
I'd like
Yeah.
to throw this to Tom. I found Aquaman very Submariner-like.
Submariner.
Like
Because-
Namor. Prince
Yeah,
Namor.
Ah.
Namor, the prince from Atlantis. Now, I haven't
His
read
character.
any of Aquaman in the last 10 years. So I don't know if that's something they've done in the comics as well. I'm assuming they probably have.
I guess there's only so much you can do with a superhero who lives underwater. They swim really fast. They talk to fish.
But it's
They breathe underwater.
but
That's what they can do.
Basically, Aquaman was a blonde version, an aquatic blonde version of Superman.
Yeah.
The cheesy, very good, very happy, justice for all crap.
But also pointed fun at a lot.
My introduction to Aquaman, because I didn't know much about him. Right, I knew of him. I knew from the old one like the old cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
I saw on Netflix. There's an Aquaman movie. It's a animated cartoon movie, and any of those DC Marvel cartoon movies are actually quite high production values. The story, it was an origin story of Aquaman, and he was brought up human on land, and it wasn't until he got to a certain age that he learnt that he was actually the son of royalty, Atlantean royalty, and whatever. And the in that, it sort of depicted him as this destructive sort of late teen, early 20s, sort of like this guy.
Yeah. So I'm assuming, that's what I assumed. I thought somewhere beyond, somewhere along the line, the comics have changed him, so he's actually interesting.
He's a reluctant hero,
and he's
a
very
reluctant
much like
Atlantean as well.
But not knowing much about the DC universe myself, but it looks like for this particular movie, they've really changed him a lot from what he's previously was in the movie, in the comics, much more than any of the other characters.
I like sorry, Tom.
That people were sort of smirking a little bit at Aquaman being one of the main heroes in the film they should take serious, and so they had to really work on that guy and turn him into something that is a bit more gritty and believable in that way.
I love the way he explained, like he said, you talk to fish, He said, well, no, I control the water. And I thought that changes the whole premise, right? Like, I think I've told you guys, the thing that always comes to mind with Aquaman is this scene from Family Guy where Aquaman's out in the surf and a woman's getting mugged on the beach, and he's sitting in the surf. He's going, well, if you were out here, I'd give it to you. Because he's only ever any good in the water. But they made him into quite a formidable hero in this film.
He still needs a jacket and a big woolen sweater. I mean, he's bare-nippled in 4 degrees oceans and doesn't matter. But when he gets on land, he needs to borrow somebody's jacket and put on a few layers of clothes. He's not as good on the land.
I have to say, he's probably one of the best superhero actors that has ever been cast. Seriously, he could play any bloody role. You could stick him as Batman or anything. He looks like a superhero, doesn't he? And thank God they didn't put him as a villain. Quite often they take someone that is physically imposing like that and they stick him as bad guys. But he's good. I thought he was a great. He was good in Game of Thrones, the first series of Game of Thrones.
Okay, so Batman actually says to him, so I hear you can talk to fish. And you tell it, because later on he says it in the movie, no, it's the water that... Blah, blah, blah. I think they actually failed there. Yeah. And again, I'm not the villain here. I'm actually on the movie side. But, when he says you talk to fish, Aquaman was kind of like a little bit embarrassed. He was like, yeah, it's pretty lame. I talk to fish. I would have wanted it to say, hell yeah, I talk to fish. Yeah. Of course I talk to fish, or something like that. And later on in the movie, I just think that they didn't wear it like a badge.
Well, and
right?
The fact that 2/3 of the planet is water, and he's the controller of the water. You would have. I agree.
Okay, there's another thing that we perhaps should get to later, but they also didn't give him any water.
Yeah.
I mean, even later on in the movie,
they took on the bad guy, and there's no water around. You could have taken place on the edge of a river or on the edge of an ocean or something. You could have given him something.
I gave
him a pitchfork.
And later on, Bruce Wayne asked him.
He makes fun of his pitchfork later.
Yeah. So he should wear it like a badge. Like later on in the movie, he says, can you we're trying to find Steppenwolf. Can you like talk to the fish or something or other? And then he responds, which is what you said. It's like, I don't talk to the fish, the water does. And it really shouldn't be that. It should be, shit, yeah, I'll fucking get all of the fish on side. We'll have bloody dolphins searching every river, every whatever. That display power rather than say it's not really me, it's the water that does it. Anyway, okay. The next one, chat on the plane. So Batman's on the bat plane.
Tell me about the plane quickly, Tom. Did you notice anything weird about the plane?
No.
How the decor of the plane?
Well, they had lots of suits of armor and stuff,
They
didn't
quite deliberately sort of decked the plane out to look like a cave. It was a cave plane.
Oh, is it?
Yes. Next time you have a look, make sure you have a look at the walls of the plane.
Oh, okay.
If not for the fact that in the background you hear this,
okay.
the plane sound. And the other thing is, who's flying the plane?
Oh, Otto.
Auto? It's just an auto plane?
I'm sure Batman has everything. He's remote controlled. The horse.
It was the horse. I remember looking at the plane thinking, fuck, who does that to a plane? Like, no one ever gets to see it, but yet you've got to deck it out with cave-like motif interiors.
I don't even remember that scene.
No, I have to watch the movie one more time.
It's a little subtle scene where they're on the plane, they're talking about the boxes, they're looking at the various different,
Bruce is having a shave.
Yeah, and they're talking about picking up Barry.
That's right.
Go and visit Barry.
Yep.
Who they know nothing about, other than that he's of
got a
interest
photo.
of some sort.
Yep.
Yeah, and Diana
He's on a photo somewhere, yeah.
and Victor.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the little chuckle about how Bruce wanted Alfred to get in touch with Diana.
Yeah.
And Alfred's
That's
well, do you want me to go to France and ask her to come and join your group?
Yeah,
or
to
something?
be you want to
Taking
be
the
friends
piss.
with Batman.
Alfred's taking the piss.
Yeah.
He needs to learn his place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a good line in there which I liked, where we was talking about he doesn't understand the world anymore. It's changed. Back in the day, we used to be fighting robot penguins.
That's right.
Exploding penguins. Yeah. And that's a good one. That's where you wear it like a badge.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
say,
that's right.
there are exploding penguins in this universe, and that's
he
how
does-
it's supposed to be.
On
Thank
a
you very
serious
much.
side, right? He brings up a good point where Batman started, and you would know this. Batman started fighting crime,
Yeah.
not gods,
Yeah.
not interdimensional gods, right? And here he is. He's facing, gods from other planets and stuff like that. When realistically, most of Batman's history is people robbing banks.
Yeah.
and,
That's
and
why
the
I like him.
Joker
I
and-
like him in Gotham. Chasing down the burglars. I
Yeah.
like those smaller stories.
Yeah, and I think that might. I'm going to throw this out there early. I think that is something that is definitively different to the Marvel universe, where Marvel's all about the big thing, right? Whereas Batman is he's out of water, right? He's for want of a better term, he's not really about fighting gods and stuff like that. He's looking for bank robbers and people that want to blow up the bloody, put poison in the water system and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Crime.
Yeah.
He fights crime.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Chris Nolan has him. He's fighting. He's fighting crime at a high level. You've got some pretty the Joker.
I put it this way:
Yeah.
does Steppenwolf in fact break any laws? Okay, yes, he kidnaps some people, but realistically, stealing back boxes that he owned.
Yeah.
Well, he
his
did want to
possessions.
destroy the planet. He
Well,
didn't. That's
eventually
you
he
have
might
to
have
wait.
broke some
He had
laws.
to do it before he can.
He hadn't done it yet.
Hadn't done it yet.
All right, so Barry Allen meets his dad. All right, we do that little story.
Yep.
Silas and Howard. Sorry about Victor. And then Silas and Victor is the next story beat. So that's where we have Cyborg and his dad.
That's right.
And they're having a bit of a...
So
bit of
Cyborg's
a
revealed
deep and meaningful
in the film.
his... Yeah,
what
he's
did you
revealed.
think of the Cyborg reveal in the film? Quite subtle, and I thought it was pretty powerful. In that one scene, we get to learn a lot.
True, yeah.
There's a lot of exposition.
Yep.
It's really well done. I thought
Thought
it was really well done. I love that line when he asks him, have you told people at the lab? And he says, well, I thought it would be blah, blah, blah. I thought it would be improper, whatever. And he sort of infers that I didn't want people to... no, he says, so you don't want people to know about the monster.
Yeah.
And he infers that he's the monster, and he turns around and he says, I think it's weird that you think I was talking about me.
Yeah.
And that really sets up that relationship. I thought it was a great scene.
Yeah, I don't know much about Cyborg's background.
No,
so
me neither.
No.
All I know, and only through the lead up to this film, is that he's a powerful motherfucker. He's a very strong superhero.
Yeah, I always thought he was a villain. There you go.
Well, he does expose that a little bit at the start when he says, I don't know if I'm the next villain or not because I'm got all this alien technology in me that I can't control.
Yeah, whether there's going to be an invasion of planet Earth and whether he's whether he's the invasion.
He's the next,
And his background when they introduce him for the first time, I think they say that he's a, Victor
Victor,
Victor Stone, which with a genius IQ
That's right.
and a football scholarship.
That's right.
Which are not two things that go together.
No,
so
they're very rare.
usually you go out to university on a football scholarship because that's
You're
what
not
you're
a
going to do.
genius.
You're going to
You're
go for
as dumb
university
as
and
a
play
boxer,
football for them
yes.
because you're not doing anything
He's a
else.
big guy, like the actor. He's a very big lad. I've seen some of the file footage of Comic-Con when they're all standing together. He's a big motherfucker. Like, he stands the same height as Malmoa, and he's a big boy.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to a movie, a Cyborg movie. Which is in the wings.
I think that's in the works.
Yep.
Okay, so the next one's the bugs at the lab. So the super nasty box, the chaos box, the box of doom. There's one of those boxes because that's what made Cyborg, right?
There's 3 mother boxes.
Yep.
One guarded by the Amazons, one guarded by the Atlanteans,
Yeah.
and one hidden by men that is no longer hidden. Do we ever learn?
Yes, they found it during First World War, I think.
That's right.
Somewhere in
He
Europe,
did say
and then
that.
they took it
That's
and they thought it was an energy
That's right.
source.
So when Victor Cyborg was talking to Silas, his dad, in that scene, where was the mother box, the men's mother box?
Victor had hidden it, and Silas was trying to convince him to pair it with the World Builder, the World Machine, which is part of the ship, the Kryptonian ship that had crashed.
Oh,
Okay.
The World Machine.
Okay.
Because the next story beat is the bugs turn up at the lab and they obviously can't find the box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So there's that little tiny scene, and then the next scene,
so that was just a bit of luck.
that it just happened to be that they've hidden it somewhere else.
It was just otherwise
other
they would
than-
have had 3 boxes immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. All right. The next one is where they get the first box. So it's called Steppenwolf at Themyscira.
Yes. Yes.
So I've written down here, I got your box. Shoot a magic arrow thingy.
Yeah.
Good thing they have arrows.
Fighting
and
hundreds of
spears.
people. So yes, there's a gigantic battle. Just as Queen What's-Her-Face walks in and says, "So, how's the box? Is it all good?"
Yeah.
Suddenly the box starts shaking and they're like, "Oh, lucky you just turned
Well,
up."
it was a daily inspection.
Yeah.
Okay. Daily inspection. Yes, box goes crazy. Down comes the teleporter tube,
That's right.
and out comes Steppenwolf, and he says, "Yo, this is my box."
And the teleporter tube conveniently always is just to the left of the box.
That was freaking me out. Why doesn't
Bring
it
the
go
thing
all
down,
around the box?
Bring the thing down on the box, and you don't have to fight any of these people.
Or just reach down the tube with one of
like
those, with a little crane.
Go gadget crane. So this is our second sort of major action piece, and it's pretty full on.
He likes a bit of mayhem. He likes maiming, and so that's why he.
Pulls
fights an
his
army.
big axe out
Yep.
and takes no
Yeah.
prisoners.
Yeah.
And then it ends really dumbly. You've got these Amazons who can take, blows from this axe. They can be flung across a space into a brick wall. They survive. A horse falls on one.
That's right.
She's dead.
Well, they're not Wonder Woman. They haven't got her strength
Well,
and
she's a god,
and
yeah.
vulnerability.
Yeah.
They're quite killable. So if you've seen the Wonder Woman movie, which I know you haven't, you would see them being killed by gunfire.
That's right. They get killed on the beach.
They're just
by
very
the
well athletic
Nazis.
women, but they do throw their lives away quite readily.
Especially the 2 women that were holding up the door.
Oh, and the other 6 that were kicking away the pylons. I mean, what
Their
was happening
job-
with them?
their job was to get
stand there
squished.
and get squished. That's right. And then, so how many meters of corridor does she run through? This is like you get the impression that this is like a 20-meter long, thick pyramid that this box is in.
With
Yet
a glass
Steppenwolf
ceiling.
slices through it with his axe and comes out with,
Yeah.
with the glass ceiling.
It had a glass ceiling. There was light coming through the ceiling. There was, even if it wasn't glass, there was clearly the outside world.
So
through
they must just have a little thin tunnel that they all get squashed in, whereas the rest of the pyramid is quite easily penetrable.
Can you imagine them organising it where, you know, the Amazon woman chick says, all right, everybody, we've got this box here. Now, if the shit goes down and it starts going crazy, see these 2 wooden poles?
Yeah.
They're holding up the roof.
That's right.
So I want you and you to go and get some big hammers and stand next to those poles. Now, if something goes crazy, hit the poles with the hammers. Roof will fall down, possibly on you.
Okay, so
But anyway, that's the plan.
so I'm gonna take my big
Bad
wooden
guys
hammer.
can only get out the way they came in. They can't.
That's right.
Use a teleporter machine.
I'm going to take the wooden pole, and so you want me to hit the wooden pylon,
Yeah.
and then I run out. Is that
No. I'll leave that up to you. Don't worry about that.
Because it really sounds like it's a little dangerous with the roof coming down like that.
Well, look, you can run out, but you don't need to think about that because the next chick up the corridor, she's already smashed the door and that's collapsed as well.
And they smash it 20 meters before the hero who escapes gets to them, so they have to then hold it up and get squashed.
Yes.
Rather than
Okay, I
waiting
mean-
for her to pass.
I mean, show me where to sign up.
All right, so I'll go through my story beats again. I got your box. That was my story beat for that whole sequence. And then they think, shit, the shit has hit the fan.
That's right.
There's only one thing we can do. We need to shoot a fire arrow into a temple.
Thousands of miles away.
Well,
at least hundreds of miles.
at least over the hill.
Yes.
That's a hell of a shot.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're firing it into Athens.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's
Athens.
the Parthenon.
Is
yeah.
it actually the Parthenon?
It's a
Yes.
temple.
Oh,
of-
it's
yeah,
the
it's-
actual
I don't know if it
Parthenon.
was the
Yeah.
Parthenon or something else, but they
All right.
definitely.
But they're
That's
shot
why
it
it was.
as
That's why it was
kilometers.
newsworthy.
Because I
miles.
didn't realize that it was the Parthenon.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. She
It was
fired
something.
it.
Are you saying it's the Parthenon because it looks like the Parthenon, or are you
was-
saying
no,
it
No,
because
it said on the
is.
news
Oh,
report
okay.
that Diana sees.
Did you watch the film, Dan?
Yeah, you didn't even watch it.
I don't know that they said Parthenon. I know that they said something about Temple of the Amazons.
Batman versus Justice Man? I watched it.
Fish dude.
Batman versus Fish Dude. I watched it.
But it's definitely not on the island. Like it's on a totally
It's in Greece.
different.
Yeah, it's in Athens.
Yeah, it's
I
in
think.
Athens.
Oh, where?
Right.
in Greece
Okay.
Anyway.
So she shoots
Far
it
away.
over to another island,
Oh yeah.
left a bit,
Greece
right a
isn't
bit,
an island, by the way. It's part of
and
the
shoots it
continent.
across the universe over to another island.
Yep.
Okay, but she's a superhero. Can do that. And then Diana's at work, polishing a statue
Yep.
With the news going, as you do,
with the
right.
news going
on the right channel.
on the right channel. And then beep, 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 news flash. The Parthenon has caught fire all of a sudden. Everybody's really confused.
That's right.
And
she
what does she say?
She understands what the warning says.
Because the lady that shoots it says, someone says, but you know, it's been 5,000 years. They will have forgotten.
Yeah,
And she says, but she will know.
she will know.
You will know.
And
she
she did know.
Yeah.
No, she was
Invasion.
she was all over it.
Invasion.
But what happened if she would just happen to be, you know,
Not
going
watching
out
the
for a
news.
smoke?
That's right. Not watching the news.
Yeah,
Exactly right.
yeah. They would have been like,
She would have read it in the news.
all right, well, we'll have to now set fire to one of the pyramids.
Yeah.
That's the backup warning.
Yeah.
No doubt she'll find that and she'll
But
work
that
out
might
that.
not be
Yeah.
mean invasion. That might mean
It means the you know the pot's boiling over on the stove, but at least she'll come back here and we can tell her.
they have a different historical building that they can destroy
Yeah, yeah.
depending on what news
What
they
the,
want to
yes,
send.
it's all set up beforehand.
You'd laugh, right? But these are the same people that put muscly women in charge of knocking down doors and squashing themselves to lock a room that had a sunroof, right? So their next,
So the
their
teleporting
next
alien
plan could have been, right, rapid fire now, fuck it, right, and just fire them all over the planet. She's got to see
Yeah.
one of them.
Yes, that would have been better.
Yeah.
Tower of Pisa, you know, everything.
Yeah, because they lost all credibility with the exit plan.
Perhaps they have, you know, an unemployment problem.
Maybe.
You know, and if we just, you know, throw them away like that, you know,
Makes
maybe
room
there's
at the top.
Amazonians just sitting on a lounge,
I'm wondering.
playing their PlayStation. Borgs, there's just not enough work for them.
They'd have to
You
have
saw how
unemployment.
many came over the hill at the end when
There's no
Steppenwolf
men.
was
They
getting.
must have unemployment.
They must have
problems.
very severe unemployment
There's
problems.
thousands of them running down the on their horses.
See, that's why they can spare a few.
Oh yeah, they can.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so the next story beat is Martha and Lois have a very boring talk about something which I forgot and didn't care about.
They're both
Exactly.
They're both missing Superman, and she had to sell the farm.
And Lois doesn't have a story. to
Lois
write.
is frail.
And
no
she's
frail.
having trouble writing all of the cool
She's
stories.
having
and
trouble.
She's writing
Just in life in general. She's not dealing really well with the whole thing.
All right. So
And the mother-in-law's lost the farm as well.
yes. So we just have this action bit, and so this is how stories go. We now have to do the opposite of action, so we have to have a boring bit for a little bit, make the next action bit
They
look exciting.
really made it boring.
Yeah,
Like, I was just.
it was really boring.
It's like it was challenge accepted. I'll make a scene.
Yeah,
So boring.
yeah.
So
I will
boring.
juxtapose that last 15 minutes with something completely featureless, except for her nose, Lois Lane's nose. On a big screen, super annoying.
Once you've seen it, you just can't
The
unsee it.
The construction of it, you couldn't model it if you were a 3D modeler.
All right, what's the next story beat? Cyborg at home realizes that he is the internet.
That's right.
Yeah, he suddenly gets
In
all the
his
pictures.
fingers.
So is that because Batman is sending that to him?
We don't really get explained.
Yeah,
It never
I
gets
got
explained
confused.
why, out of all of the world, he happens to see what other people are looking at about him. I don't.
Yeah.
But is it not later?
Maybe it's one of his powers.
Well, I think what I got out of it is the thing that is keeping him alive, the cybernetic sort of side of him, has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
It's AI, and it's there to protect him. So it's feeding him the information of other people researching him.
Yeah.
That's just spurious.
That's
It's
how I took it.
You don't get more
Spurious suggest-
spurious than that. But it's what I sort of... That's the only reason I could come up with why he would, out of all of the information in all of the world and all of the interwebs, he gets shown himself.
Yeah.
And then, very next swipe, he swipes left, and it's Batman.
Yeah.
And it's the true identity of Batman. With
Yeah.
one swipe, he sees
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne, Batman in the same thing.
And probably telling about my character. You know what I thought when I saw that? I thought, how's he watch porn?
Snap!
I was thinking, and yeah, if he's,
It's not fun with those metal hands.
yeah, if you know, if
Well, he's got a metal willy, so it all works
if,
out.
you know, the thought just zips through his
doesn't
cyborg
sound
brain
good.
that he needs to spank one off. Does the porn automatically show up?
Yeah. It happens in...
Yes, I was waiting for something embarrassing to slide past there when he was like searching. Yeah, woo, woo,
Or what if he's hungry? There's like, you know, menu log.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
pop up in his hands.
Yeah. Yes, he's an enigma that poses more questions than answers.
All right, so Diana arrives at the Batcave.
Did we talk about Barry Allen's recruitment yet, or is that still
No,
coming?
that's coming up.
Diane
Oh, it's
turns
coming
up first.
Okay. Yep, sorry.
Then they divide and conquer to try to find their last two
That's right.
recruits.
So
Ah,
you
that's
do
right.
this one,
They
you
go
do
to the
this one.
lake,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they think there's an attack coming. You know, we get a quick Steppenwolf history of why he likes to be evil.
We get all the
Because he likes
exposition
it.
we can devour.
So what is Steppenwolf's motivation?
The mother boxes. He wants to recreate his birth world
Yeah.
using the mother boxes. Combining
Who's that guy?
the three mother
I'm pointing
boxes.
at something on the
That's
screen.
Deathstroke. He doesn't come until the very
After the
very
credits.
end of the
Did
film.
you wait till after the credits?
Did you watch this movie?
The end of the credits I saw on the version I saw was the Flash and Superman racing each other.
No, there was more credits, and then at the end of those credits, you got Lex Luthor, who has escaped, and he's on a yacht, and that guy turns up. And
Well,
to
Google
talk
Play doesn't have that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
I would get my money back.
Yeah.
All right, so we get a quick Steppenwolf history. He likes to be evil, and then he wants to use mother boxes to make his world into a horrible place.
Yep.
Because he likes that.
Yep.
And we also know then get told that everybody's got a box: the Atlanteans,
Yep.
the Amazonians, and the Humians.
We see flashback.
3 rings to bind them all.
Yeah. We see the
It's
we
very-
see the
Yes.
great battle. What did
Very
we-
Lord of the Ringy. We had made one for mortal men and one for the Amazons.
Well, what did we think of that battle sequence with the all of the tribes of men and all of the
and
Amazons?
the Greek gods came there.
And this was
fought.
the
It was nice.
Atlanteans before they went into
Yeah.
the water, right?
Well, they were always in the water, right?
No,
Oh, you
no,
mean
no, no,
before
no.
Atlantis
No,
sank?
in this
They were
piece.
from Atlantis. That was after they sunk.
Before they
So what did we
sank,
think
you
of
said.
that sequence? It was because the gods were even, as you say, the
Yeah,
gods
it
were
was
fighting
Ares,
with them,
There
and,
was Zeus.
was
and
very
they only
hobbity.
just beat him.
was very hobbity. Yeah, and he gets taken away, and he was really unhappy because he didn't get to win.
And I remember looking at it thinking, like he's not really omnipotent, is he? If he's letting his boys just drag him off like that and stick him in the back of the helicopter and come on, let me at him.
It's home time. I don't want to. I want to stay and play. All right. So what's the next one? Bruce and Barry.
Bruce and Barry. Yes.
So Barry comes home and he's kind of got his own little.
We see the touching scene first of Barry going to meet the dad at the jail.
Yeah.
Because we need that exposition of who Barry is.
Yeah.
What drives him.
He's a nice guy, losery type
the
of
dad.
goofball.
The dad's in jail because he's accused of, well, he's convicted of murdering the wife. And we get the underlying thought that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And Barry is doing all sorts of things to try to get dad out of prison by legal means.
He's trying to get work as well.
Yeah. And the dad
Working multiple jobs.
Dad says, "Forget about me. Get on with your life. I don't want you to come see me anymore."
Or use your damn superpowers to get me the fuck out of
That's
here.
what
He
that's
doesn't
what I
know
was thinking.
about
Through the whole scene, right?
Yep.
You could get him on this side. You're letting that guy drag him off, probably kick him and rape him down in the cells. You could have him on this side of the cell door like that.
In half a second.
Yeah, but that's not just.
I know. It's not right.
No.
It is a big hole in the plot.
Barry has to prove his dad's innocence.
He does provide the comedic angle for the film that without him,
Would be boring.
oh yeah.
But it's
It
annoying.
should be a pretty straight
an
film.
annoying
And that's
kind
what
of
Beck said.
All right. So, yes, let's
Comedy.
get his character happening. So he's a goofball.
Yep.
Every line he says is some sort of comedy joke.
He's a kid. He's a nervous kid. Like,
And half of them are not funny.
and he
No,
plays that
more than
nervous teenager.
I
Did
don't
you
know.
get the sense he's a teenager?
I think
Young,
well,
but
he's
not a
supposed to be.
teenager.
He's supposed to be. He's looking for work for the first time.
Yeah.
He's just at the start of his career, so I guess he's 19, 20.
Yeah.
So remember when... I'll give you 2 lines of his.
You know, it's
remember,
cowboy hoodies. When they put actors in hoodies, they're young.
Yep.
we're jumping ahead a bit, but I'll give you 2 lines of his. Remember when he goes into the Batcave
Yes.
the first time?
Yeah.
The very first
He's
thing
really
he
excited.
says...
He's all over the place.
Yeah, he's really excited. That was cool. That was
It's a
funny.
cave.
And he's sitting in the thing and he's like really cool. But the very first thing he says, it's some sort of bat cave.
Yeah.
And what was they thinking when they wrote that?
That's Joss Whedon. That's like you'll see those sort of lines in Buffy and Angel.
Well, he knows this is Batman. He knows it's the Batman's cave.
Does he know that Batman has a bat cave?
Yeah.
Well, he knows he's in a cave, and
Yeah,
that's where
yeah, yeah.
Batman lives.
So what the joke is that he accidentally calls it what it's
No.
actually called.
I think he's tongue in cheek. I think he's being a smartass. I think he's a smartass.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't
took
tell
away
whether
that
he's being a
his
smartass.
role-
No,
He was a smartass in this film.
people outside of Batman don't know that he lives in the back.
No.
No, I don't think they do.
No, he didn't know.
So that's
So he
why. So he's like, it's.
He
Ah, yeah, I got
accidentally
you. Yeah,
called
yeah,
it what
yeah.
it's actually
Actually, yeah.
called.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And I thought that's a shit joke.
yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was a signature Joss Whedon-esque.
Yeah.
I think he could do something. He could say something like,
Batman cave.
no, something different. He'd say something like, ooh, technology. And then he'd say, ooh, and bats. You know, just something simple like
Yeah.
that. Some simple observation. And just as a sort of a goofy kid. And that would have done. The second one that I want to compare it with is when they're in there talking and Cyborg's talking about the chaos boxes and the start of time and the crushing of the things together, and he's explaining everything. And then Barry, standing up on that rail, says, oh, I just thought they were like nuclear bombs. And
I
that
remember
was...
that line.
Do you remember that line?
No, I don't remember
That
that.
he says that, and it's very subtle and it's very simple, and it really, that's his character. Is simplistic. He didn't think it was a chaos thing that goes across the spaces of atoms in time. He just thought it was a big bomb.
Yeah, he hasn't been trained to think like a superhero yet.
Yeah. So I really like that line
Yeah.
as a much more simple observation that
Yeah.
somebody who wasn't so informed would say.
It's quite often that
Yeah,
they
agree-
give
agree.
the comedic guy, the guy that takes all the funny lines in the film, those types of corny echoes to other parts of the franchise. Do you know what I mean? Like they sort of are the bridge quite often
Yeah.
to those older things to get. Like Alfred's another one in this film that tries to get the laughs. He makes point of it's about time someone around here had a date. You know, he's taking a piss out of Bruce and whatever. So he is also another one that makes reference to the exploding penguins and things like that. So it's often the comedic ones that make the link and not the serious ones. like Cyborg. It's pretty serious in this film, Cyborg.
All right, so they go and visit him. Barry goes home, and he's got his flash suit, and he's got all these. He's got a bit of a bat cave himself with lots of tech stuff going on. And Bruce is sitting there, and he turns around. He's been sitting in a dark room for the last 15 hours, waiting for him to get off his shift at work or something or other. And so what happens then? He says, "So, are you some sort of superhero dude or what?" And then he throws the batarang
at his face.
Yeah, and forcing him to catch it.
And he's got to be pretty confident that he's got the power to
dude,
do that. Otherwise, he's just killed a
out.
teenager.
Bruce Wayne is clever. He's been there for 15 hours. He's checked out the whole area.
He's rummaged through everything.
He knows it already. He just wanted confirmation.
He's catalogued all the socks. I
just had a flash.
7 pairs of socks.
I had a flash of a single panel of a comic book where some teenager is lying on the ground with a batarang.
There's a whole swathe of them across the city.
Bruce Wayne's in the background going, "Oh, is this 419? Is this 419 West Hollywood?"
Well, I thought it was what happens if Barry's mate walked in first.
Fuck! Oh,
the cleaner.
We meet again.
Luckily, he has no friends, so he says that at the start.
That's true. That's true.
All right. So he joins the team, and he's pretty eager to join the team. And they get in the car, and he says, "What's your superhero powers?" And he says that I'm rich.
I like that.
Yeah,
I think Ben Affleck makes a good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I thought so.
Not
the best Batman.
Not the best Batman, but a good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I thought so too. I agree with that.
Can we talk about Batman and Bruce Wayne's voice for a second?
I liked the fact that clearly there's tech in his suit that does something cool with his voice.
I thought that there was clearly not obviously tech in his suit, but it does something to his voice.
They did it in the previous film.
Was it?
Yeah. In his suit, he's
got like an amplifier or something.
Yeah, it makes his voice. I'm Batman, whatever.
Okay.
And then when he takes it off, his normal voice.
Like, "Hi guys."
Yeah.
Hi, Alfred.
Yeah.
It was clearly amplified. And
because it's certainly clearly amplified. When you see him in these fight scenes, he's like, "I'm Batman."
Yeah, and I thought, I mean, my memory of Batman, once it returned from where it came, the period of the 80s and the 90s where it went through the Tim Burton,
I'm cheesy Batman.
Cheesy Batman. It returned ultimately back to where it started, which is quite dark, and fear is his number one weapon, right? And so changing his voice, to me, it wasn't just to disguise him, it was to actually put the fear of God through people. And I'm telling you, in a dark alley, when you hear that voice coming through the mist, it'd scare the shit out of you. So I dig it. I think it's pretty cool.
All right, so the next one, we've just done the Batman picks up Barry. Diana's got to visit Victor. And Diana's sitting on the internet, and she's like cruising the internet. She's going to buy pizza or something or other, and Victor turns up and says, "I'm watching you."
That's right.
And so she has a chat with a screen.
Talks to the screen.
Yes. Hello.
Yep.
And the words say, "Hello." And so she's going to meet Victor, Cyborg.
That's right. I like that line where if I wanted to kill you, I would have done it by the lake. It really.
Oh yeah, he was watching them. Yeah.
Well, she knows. She's.
Oh, did she know?
Yeah. She knew he was there because he says, "How can I trust you?" Or "How do I know that you're not going to?"
Yeah, I like that.
Kill me, whatever. And she says, "Well, if I wanted to do something, I would have done it by the lake." Which I think it speaks volumes to her character and how powerful she is and how.
And also the fact that she didn't share that information with Batman.
Yeah, and I think that makes her a cool hero. You know, that it's all subterfuge and underneath the surface.
All right, so excuse me. She asks him to join their club.
Yep.
And he says, "Nah, don't want to."
And that's a really boring scene too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where they, just because it's a female character,
it's got to have feelings, man.
Oh, feelings, schmeelings. It's just boring as batshit.
Yeah.
I feel your feelings, and your feelings are stopping you from feeling the other feelings.
I know
that
how
you're
you
not
feel
feeling now.
because I was feeling that way myself.
Yeah,
for 100 years.
And I can feel just like you.
If I want to watch that, I'll watch Oprah.
Yes. All right. So,
but it worked. She connected with him.
Connected my ass. He just thought she was hot or something.
I think it comes down to that.
She wore the tight leather pants.
That and she, you know, she kicks ass. She's probably like, I better fucking join her. She'll kick my ass.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the next one? We get a bit of aqua action.
Yes, the mother box gets stolen from Atlantis.
That's right.
We get introduced to Amber Heard's character, and every time I see her, I just have visions of her and Johnny Depp going at it in the unit in Hollywood, because that's his missus
Oh, is it?
that Johnny Depp's accused of beating up and everything.
right.
But then
She's now an actress.
she was always an actress,
Was she?
but not a very acclaimed actress, as far as I'm aware. I don't follow her other than the drama of the tabloids. But
So the old Atlanteans don't have such an elaborate defense as the Amazonians.
just three guys
Yeah, and they're just
with sticks.
yeah.
It's very open.
Yeah. Maybe they were trying to hide it rather than just don't tell him it's here.
I would have thought, why don't you hide it?
Yeah.
Just dig a big hole, stick it in a big hole.
A
Not
deep-sea
like
trench, perhaps.
the Amazons, right? The Amazonians. What do? They surround it by 800 people.
Yeah, and put it in a temple.
All the bad guys have got to do is look for where the 800 people are standing around this thing.
Yeah.
Just hide it underground, just stick it in a hole, or
Or they should
No, but the bats
disguise
can
it.
smell it. Can't these bat
Yeah,
creatures find
they
it?
can.
They can smell
Disguise
it.
it. Just like cover it in like icing
Yeah.
and put candles on it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
put it in the fridge. Be a cake.
So we have a battle with Steppenwolf and Aquaman.
So it's pretty easy. He steals it.
Yep.
Yeah, Aquaman. They have a bit of a punch up.
I
And
do
he's
like
over
the
there.
use of water as a weapon. The way they create a bubble, and so therefore gravity kicks in, and he falls and gets hurt, and then they implode the water back on top of him again. I thought, just keep doing that.
Yep.
Why don't you just keep doing that?
Yeah, just-
There's three of you. Just keep doing it.
yeah. I'll take the 8 o'clock shift. My lunchtime, I'll knock off, and then you can take over the bubble thing. Yeah, okay.
I just saw another comic panel. Just a lineup of 100 Atlanteans.
yeah.
My turn. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Steppenwolf's like, stop it!
Come on.
I don't want the box anymore.
Yeah. And once again, the tube of dimensional travel is just off center. If it had to come down right on top of the box, they could have got out of there.
Maybe
without
they
any-
just need to calibrate that. thing.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're just a
Maybe.
bit to the left.
We're probably
It's very tricky physics. I'm
overplaying
sure.
it. Yeah.
I want
You
to
think, you think it's easy.
Yeah.
yeah, but teleporting across the space-time continuum, come on. So the first one was really difficult to steal.
Yes.
The second one was
Not so
pretty
much.
meh to steal.
Yeah. The
And there's a
one-
bit of a trajectory
Don't
going
even
on.
talk about the third one.
They give up. They just don't even vote.
The third one they found on top of a cop car.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the heroes all left it
like
there
the
and walked away.
The tube
Oh,
comes down.
the bar. Oh.
The tube comes down. They go. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, the whole fight, the whole thing's about those boxes, hiding those boxes, and they just go, they just forget.
Yeah.
They take
yeah.
it
Oh,
and then
yeah,
they
the
leave it there.
box.
Yeah, shit.
Then they make no effort.
Some heroes.
Yeah.
But before we get to that scene, we have to go to a much more important scene
Oh, absolutely.
in Mother Russia.
Yeah. Well, no, we don't get to. Oh, no, you're talking about the. Let's introduce the family in the house in the middle of nowhere,
And not name them or have them do anything or...
or have no purpose in
Or have
this,
no
in this
purpose in
plot
the- in the
whatsoever,
thing.
other than being a potential target.
But we can be in the same place as the bad guys when we watch them, but not actually see the bad guys.
That's right.
So that's the purpose that they serve in the
And
movie.
also because they have to save some civilians.
We'll be
and-
needing you to save later
Yeah,
on.
Yeah,
and
so we need
we have
Put
to
some
kind of
faces
care.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
not names.
Yeah.
All right, then. So after we visit Russia for a little while, what's the next one? Steppy arrives in Gotham. So some people abducted from Star Labs. Victor turns up
Well,
because his
Victor,
dad was taken.
I think we need to see the scene. They go to meet Commissioner Gordon, right?
Yep.
Commissioner Gordon puts the bat signal up.
Who's the actor? That actor. I
J.K.
quite like that actor.
Simmons.
J.K.
Yeah, yeah.
Simmons,
J.
that's
Jonah
it.
Jameson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like him.
Yeah. He puts the bat signal up.
Uh-huh.
Wants to find out what the fuck's going on because Batman's being blamed for the kidnappings because he just happens to look like the Parademons.
Yep.
So they meet on the roof with Wonder Woman, Flash, and Batman. And then Cyborg turns up.
That's
and
right.
this is where Cyborg says, I'm in, I'm part of the, and then they go back to the Batcave and Cyborg tells them about the power.
I think it's on the roof. because they're talking about the strange bat vampire demons, and they're abducting people, and then Cyborg says, beep, 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 all of those trajectories are lining up on Gotham Harbour. Pity there's nothing on Gotham
that's
Harbour.
right. That's
And then
right,
Batman
Gotham
says,
Harbour.
no, there's stuff underneath it.
Yes,
I know
that's right.
everything.
Yeah.
No, it's actually Cyborg.
It's Cyborg that says it's Batman that says there's nothing there, and then Cyborg
Yeah.
says no, there's an island.
So, then they all disappear,
That's right.
except for Flash, who has a goofy...
A line.
And then there's a big battle with a giant robot spider.
Yes, that's right. That's right. They could have turned it into a machine that represented a. Have you ever seen a crawling bat?
Well, I can kind of imagine, yeah.
They fucking move. There's nothing that moves
Yeah,
like
it's
a
very
crawling
weird.
bat.
Yeah.
That would have been cool, actually, yeah.
I would have loved to have seen a machine like that, but
It looked
instead
more
it was
like
a spider.
tick. It looked more like a tick to me.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
Flat it
Yeah, they
was.
could have called it the Bat Crawler.
Yeah.
And that would have been cool.
Well, it was called the crawler. It was called the bat crawler.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then they called it the cool thing, but they didn't do the cool thing.
But they didn't make it. They didn't model it up because it did. It looked more like
Yeah.
a
Crab.
some
Or
sort of
something
crab,
like that.
forward-walking crab or something.
So they go there, and then there's a big fight.
Yes.
There's a big action sequence, and old Flashy Boy gets to be a little knock-kneed
It's the
scaredy cat.
It's the first Justice League fight, I guess.
True.
Even though Aquaman joins the party very late in the fight, doesn't do any fighting except for fighting off the water.
That's
to
right.
help them escape. But it's the first time we see the Flash in battle,
It's first time the Flash is in battle. He
and
makes
he
that point.
admits
He
it. And I
says
think
this-
that's a good scene.
that is nice. He says, "I usually just push people and move very fast."
And run
Yes,
away
and
really
run away.
quickly.
Yeah, that's his power is to every problem the Flash ever solves is solved by running around in circles
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah. And there is a moment in this sequence which annoys me, and it's about the writing, and it sort of pops up throughout the thing. Barry says, I don't know what to do. And Batman says, get in, save one, get out.
That's good. That's a good part of the film.
But then he says, and then what? You'll know.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, just tell me.
No,
like,
that's good.
Why have we got to
I
figure
love
that
that.
out?
That was good because if he saves one, he goes, "Shit, yeah."
I'll save
And
another one.
it would have been better if that's all he said. He didn't
Yeah.
have to say
Yeah,
it would have
yeah.
had more impact
That's
by
right.
itself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he would have gone, Batman.
Then then Barry would have owned it.
Yeah.
Would have owned the solution.
Yeah, true.
Instead, he was doing what Batman told him to do,
Yeah.
and then he gets all the kudos that
Yeah.
Batman character.
And
gets
here's the
kudos.
big hole in the plot in the film. It's the Gandalf stuck on the tower doesn't call the eagle. The eagles.
Yeah.
Delivering the ring moment.
Yeah.
Is how everything's sort of in bullet time. Flash is
Yeah.
zipping, and he grabs the sword and he
Yeah.
just touches it with his finger.
Yep.
Why not grab the bloody thing and stab Steppenwolf then and there and
That's
end
right.
up
Stab
and
him
end
in
the
the face.
problems?
Exactly right. Exactly
Again,
right.
it's not just
Yeah.
heroes can't do certain things.
Yeah.
It's like, why not get one of the eagles in Lord of the Rings
Yep.
to fly over?
He
And
could
drop the
have.
ring.
Take the ring over there.
No, they
Job done.
make these half-assed hobbits walk
No, don't get started. on
thousands
that.
of miles. That's the same whole.
You're the Flash.
plot.
You can shag Wonder Woman
You're
while
right.
she's falling.
You're right. You're
He
right.
can do so many things, but he doesn't because it's not right.
Yes. He has a justice center.
Yes, that is a bit weird. But yeah, maybe he's just a bit stupid and all he knows is to push people, and he's not very imaginative, and he's just like, oh, I'm going to push a sword.
Yep.
There you go. I push things. My problem with it is, wouldn't that sword be kind of sharp?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also falling at about 30 kilometers a second, and he
Yep.
just like pushes it backwards. It would have chopped his finger off. In the real world.
It takes it from that X-Men Quicksilver scene.
Yeah.
You know, where he's sort of moving bullets and pushing bullets.
He should have done it with his helmet. Like head butted it.
What I don't understand about the Flash is that he runs very fast, but he's not a superhero. So when he hits things really fucking
Yes,
hard.
and all of his bones turn into jelly.
Because
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this
it's always a
film,
thing.
he trips over. There's a scene, Archer. There's a character in Archer that is bionic from the waist down. He's got bionic legs, but the rest of him is normal. And so they get him to push or lift a jeep or something like that, and then he forgets that his whole upper body is normal. So he goes, and he just breaks his spine in about 4 places because the only thing bionic is his legs.
What was I going to say? What did you say earlier?
It better be good. No, come on. When no one's talking until Tom gets his point.
Oh, sorry.
Fuck it.
Okay, deadly silence
Rewind.
Deadly silence works well. on
Barry,
podcasts.
Barry tripping over.
Barry headbutting swords with
The
his
people,
helmet.
he saves the people, right?
Yeah.
By shooting them out at light speed.
That's right.
They would
yeah.
all come up with broken necks. Their innards would be left behind while the
Absolutely.
skeletonless skin arrives over there.
That's right. Exactly right.
That's the
Because they
same
have
thing.
to stop at some point as well.
Yeah,
and you would think
inertia.
their
It's just,
insides.
in his
that-
bubble, there's no inertia. In his when he does the what's it called, the Speed Force thing,
Yeah.
inertia goes out the window and everything is possible.
Yep.
All right, then. So they kind of half beat up Steppenwolf, and he accidentally... I kind of liked when they shot a rocket at him and he catches it, and then he goes, "Oh, stupid rocket." Throws it over his shoulder, and it then demolishes the wall, and all
Do
the
you
water
think?
comes
Do you
in.
think he didn't know? Do you think he didn't?
No, I like
No,
it.
he
No, I
knew.
don't think he's
Did
been...
he? Did he aim it and go like that? Or
Yeah, he went bam. Here,
Yeah, that's
got a
what I
problem.
thought
No,
as
I like to
Solve
think that he was... I like to think he's a bit thick. He's not actually a super genius. He's like, oh, water.
Cool.
All right, so they escape.
Yep.
And then
And
Well,
they...
we see
thanks to
that,
Aquaman, they escape.
And
Yeah,
also thanks to
Aquaman-
Cyborg, who just needs to do his little Borg thing with any
Oh, yes.
technology,
That's right.
and he can remote control it just by putting his little
Yeah.
fuses, his little tentacles into any.
Which raises a
Any
question
electrical equipment.
later on. Remind me to ask the question when they fly to Russia. I have a question.
Yes.
When he says he'll make the airplane fly really fast.
He can get
Yeah.
there. He can get there in less time.
Okay. Ask it
Yeah.
now. Come on.
How?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, just because he can interface with it,
Yep.
he can't change law of physics. He can't change, even if he can make the engine run a little bit faster.
Yeah.
You
But-
would think that
but
Batman
he said
Batman
it.
should probably say,
Yeah.
I've got this thing tuned, dude. You cannot make it go faster. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was up all last night till 2 o'clock in the damn morning after doing all my research,
You'd
and I
love
was
that.
tuning the spark plugs,
You'd
and it's
love that
perfect.
scene in this film, wouldn't you, when Batman says, "What? No, no, you can't make it go faster."
Because we know that Batman's actually built that thing by hand.
That's right. That's
in
right.
in the early hours of every morning when he's finished doing his business.
Him and Alfred.
It's back-crafted.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it's handcrafted.
Exactly right.
All right, so they go. Oh, but before they go into the Batcave, Cyborg flies off mysteriously and goes and gets the magic box. They're in the crab and they're like, "Let's climb up the wall and escape." And then Cyborg goes, "Hang on, I have a genius idea," and he flies away.
And he just takes off. And
Yeah,
then,
and they're
then
like,
the Flash
"Oh."
gets the line. Did he just bail?
yeah,
He
yeah.
just left him hanging on the side of the wall,
I wonder if
which
the,
I thought was a cool scene.
wonder if the
And
crab
they
was,
escape by they hold on by Wonder Woman randomly ramming her sword
I
in the
saw that
escape
as well.
vehicle.
yes.
That's right.
Shock.
And again, I want to see Batman like, careful, there's bloody wires. There's a battery in there.
Not to mention Cyborg's inside.
yeah.
I thought that escape sequence was it was interesting. You don't often see superheroes act that and be saved by machinery like that when we're talking about a goddess and the king of Atlantis, and they're saved by a crab tank.
So they go back to the Batcave.
And that's
So-
well, this is where the cyborg. This is where they start to discuss the power.
Well, there's one other
Of the
thing.
mother
There's a
box.
theme thing that goes on. Remember themes in this thing. So there's a theme of leadership that goes on.
That's right.
So they're talking about, let's all be leaders and like let's do stuff. And Diana's like, but people might get hurt. And then we have to help out people. And then what does Bruce say? Well, you didn't do anything for 200 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Diana says, "Fuck off." Pushes him into some
Well,
boxes.
Sternum punches him into the cage. And I love the fact in this film that Batman reminds us on a number of occasions that he's been Batman for 30 years. So he's a 50, 60-year-old guy in this film.
Yeah.
And he's I think he says, "I can barely do it now."
Yeah,
She
yeah.
says, "You won't be able to do this much longer." He said, "I can't even do it now."
Pretty good.
He just gets the shit kicked out of him by everybody.
All right. So they come up with a plan, and they're going to use the magic box to make Superman come alive again.
And Diana's not happy with it.
Because she thinks that Superman might like being dead.
Well, her righteous button is on overload. Her righteous warning is, it's about yeah.
And that's what Alfred says as well.
Yes.
Everybody needs Superman.
Yeah.
But what does Superman need?
Yes, and
Well, he's dead.
And
He
are
needs
we
to
not
be
going
alive.
to
That's what he
create
needs.
the monster? Because they're still thinking of who's the bad guy from the big monster from
Doomsday? from last
Doomsday.
time?
They're thinking, because that's what happened last time someone tried to bring somebody back from the dead using the kryptonite or krypton
Well, that was
goo.
Lex Luthor. He wanted to make something evil.
But he did the same thing. He used the goo, the
But you
krypton.
start with something good and pure like Superman. Get something good.
Yeah.
All right. So they've also got a backup plan. They talk about a super weapon that they've
That's
got
right,
in
that's
case
The big
Superman
gun. Bringing in
gun-
the big guns.
in case Superman goes ballistic.
Which we're all meant to think that's Krypton. Kryptonite.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, they got
Yep,
some.
same
They
here.
got,
Kryptonite.
they got a box full of krypton.
Yeah.
Kryptonite somewhere. All right. So the next scene is they dig up Clark Kent's body
With shovels.
with shovels, and they have a
Yeah.
little chat.
Batman has all those gadgets,
Yeah.
and all he can come up with for grave digging
Yep.
is
It's a
pair
sign of
shovels.
respect.
And they say that. I mean, Barry says, I could do this in a flash, but it doesn't seem right. Which gives them the opportunity to have their bro moment.
Their bro chat.
Fist bump bro moment.
Their awkward bro bail
Yeah.
moment. All right, so they dig up Clark. Cool. So the next story beat I've got is It's Alive. It's the resurrection of Superman. So
Well,
how
they
do they
have
do it?
Well, they have to break in. So there's the casino, the Ocean's 11 moment
Yeah.
where they...
Which is-
boom, 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 boom.
Which is
And they have to break in and...
over in 2 shots in 13 seconds.
The ship is inside a big tent with no roof.
Yep.
Right? We see it in 3 or 4 establishing shots.
Mhm.
Most of these heroes fly.
Yep.
Why are we breaking in a truck? And why
Yeah,
do we
true.
have to have special security passes?
That's actually a
and
good point. What did they do with the truck?
just-
Nothing. Why didn't the Flash just like run past everybody at 1,000 miles an hour?
it's-
It's another one of those.
No, they said, "All right, Flash, you're in charge of this one.
yeah.
We'll leave the break-in up to you." And he's like,
He could have.
okay.
He could have just zipped them all in one at a time, including the coffin.
Yeah.
Like, zip,
Yeah.
zip, zip. We're all there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the same guy that hasn't killed Steppenwolf when he had the chair.
Yeah.
Just by
Yeah.
picking up the sword. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he's
dropped the ball already in this film.
He's not the smartest. He must have said, "I saw this on the A team.
Yeah.
This will work. Don't worry."
I'm assuming he bumped, because the way he stops and falls, he's obviously bumped his head somewhere along the line. That's
Yeah.
the Flash.
Yeah.
One too many times. All right. So how do you erase a Superman with the magic chaos box?
Well, there's only one way to do it, Dan.
Okay.
What you've got to do is put him in the goo,
Drop him in the goo. Yep.
and you've got to kickstart the goo
Yeah.
with a lightning bolt of immense energy.
No, you got to drop
at
the box.
exactly the right time that the box touches the surface of
Yeah.
the goo.
Yeah. Now, why
That's
is that
the only
necessary?
way it's going to happen.
Now, why couldn't it be 2 inches in the goo, half in the goo?
Because of science,
Because
dude.
science and Cyborg said it.
Suspense.
The same reason why the bat plane can fly faster, because Cyborg said it.
So they say
And less science.
we're going to have to drop it in, and then drop the box in the water, and then somebody says, "But that won't have enough. It needs 1.21 gigawatts of power before they
Gigawatts.
before they can drop it in the water." And they're like, "Damn it, that's right. Boxes do need that much to raise Superman out of the
At
dead."
which point Barry says, I've got that much power.
Oh, handy.
I can do that. Sweet. Let's just make it so.
I was thinking to myself about this whole sequence. It was
Yeah.
like, imagine they had Typist Man, who is
Yeah.
the fastest typer in the world, and they said, "We have to drop the box,
Yeah.
but we need to, at the same time as it hits the water, we have to type a message as quickly as possible." And Typist Man says, "Oh, I'm Typist Man. I can type things very quickly."
Yeah.
And then they say, "Oh, okay, you do that.
Holy shit.
I'll drop it. Type. Hey, it worked."
It's like the plan and the resources came together in exactly the right order in the universe.
And it was also kind of like, well, that was pretty easy.
Yeah. And I'm impressed that they didn't do like a dry run.
Yeah.
Let's see if it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys.
They were cocky.
You
Yeah,
can only
like-
fire it up once.
They were
Timing.
cocky.
I mean, at least if it was like,
And there was a countdown from 5, and he goes on 1.
Yeah.
Right?
do we go on one or do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
why
after
do you
one.
need, like, if he only needs 1, like, why do we need 5 and 4 and 3 and 2? Because he's the Flash. You just need to say go,
And you'll be there.
and he'll go.
Science. That's the shitty excuse you gave me. Now you have to wear it.
That's right. That's right.
I'm reflecting. That's why I'm using a reflect card on that one, my
I
friend.
will bounce that science back in your face. Your face.
So, yes, I suppose my point is that was incredibly easy, wasn't it? We had a problem to solve.
Yeah.
Okay, so it raises Superman. He jumps out of a building and he goes up into the sky and he goes and lands on his tomb where he was dead before.
Let me track back just
That's
a second, though.
Memorial.
You made
It's
the point.
memorial,
You
sorry.
made the point that they had that problem to solve.
Mm-hmm.
I put it to you, they created that problem. The writers, the people that made the
Yes.
film, created the
They
problem.
created it
Yes.
only to show one of the Flash's abilities. That was
Exactly.
the only. Yeah, that's.
I don't think they created it
That's-
to show the Flash's abilities. I think their mindset was, well, they go in there and then they raise him. Well, there's got to be something that makes it difficult.
Yeah.
Well, let's make it that Flash has to run up and down a corridor for a bit.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's going in.
Give me another Chardonnay.
Yeah, give me another Chardonnay.
Right.
All right, Superman's on the memorial and he's all oily,
And did you
Shirtless.
woozy, shirtless.
Yet his
He
pants
flew
are
out of his
intact.
shirt. He flew out of his shirt, but his pants are intact.
He has the same skill as the Hulk.
Yes.
And
He's
Captain
picked up
Kirk.
some gamma radiation,
Yeah.
no doubt.
He was in a suit. He was in a jacket and a shirt, and he flew out of them, but the pants stayed intact.
I'm too
So
sexy
let's
for
talk
this
about
shirt.
uniforms. I just one
For
thing
this
to
shirt.
mention. Maybe I was waiting to the end of the film, but
Yeah.
I mean the uniforms are for all the men that at most you see the chin.
Yes.
Maybe you see half a face in Cyborg's case, but the person that shows most skin of the men is bloody Aquaman, and he's got a suit up to his earlobes, right? And he shows the most skin. And then there's Wonder Woman in her bathing suit.
Yeah.
But all the strong men, all the good Buffy ones, not Flash, but all the others get their moment in the film. Everyone gets to take off their shirt, some twice.
Yep.
But the rest of the film, their uniforms are just everything's closed, everything's up. My eyes are closed, my mouth is the only thing is poking out.
Mm.
But we let the chick run around in the bathing suit
Yeah.
because that's what they shouldn't look like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if Aquaman is half naked in the comics.
No,
He's wearing
no,
shorts.
no.
Fully dressed.
No.
Yeah.
It was
There's a difference to Namor because Namor is always just in his budgie smuggler.
He's just in
Yep.
budgie smugglers. Yes. No. I think that was a bit of fan service for the ladies.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
We're
so
gonna-
too.
For the ladies, eh?
Yeah.
I do.
I
do.
appreciate the fan service for the men that they did by having Wonder Woman not
Well-
up to her chin the entire film.
But
Yeah.
I suppose,
Yeah.
well, there's been a lot there. That's a lot of debate on the internet about that one.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to touch it for 10-foot bar.
No, you can't. You can't go near it. You will come down on some side of that argument and be judged. Right? Just rest assured.
Well, the fact that I cannot win, but even more important.
Don't try, man. Just let it hang out. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Same here.
Actually, it's because the thing is, it would have been a big departure from
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's normal costume, and I don't think they were prepared. To
No, she would
risk-
look odd in that.
Whereas the others, that's pretty much what they
But
wear.
they're all wearing pretty heavy armor. I mean, the
Yeah.
Flash is usually wearing some spandex suit. Here, he's
Yeah.
wearing a helmet and shoulder pads.
Yeah, but I think that was part of the thing that he's a normal person.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
That's-
protects him.
Well, they explain it, and
Just
they explain
reboot
Batman
shuttles.
putting up the extra padding in the end as well
Yeah.
because he's wearing more thicker armor at the end fight because he's getting old.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought that. How come is Wonder Woman, Superman is all dressed up?
Yeah.
I always thought that even back then.
Yeah.
I thought, why she just walk around the skirt
Yeah.
and a corset? I found it weird then. I find it weird now, but I ain't going there.
All right then. So next, Superman goes nuts,
Yeah. Yeah. Beats headbutts Wonder Woman,
It's pretty cool.
which is cool.
puts her through the ground with a headbutt.
She headbutts him back first.
No,
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
There was-
headbutts
there
her
was-
first.
There was a
Then she
little
heads
bit
up-
of anger on both sides there, I
He
think.
goes to headbutt.
Yeah.
Right.
He
Then
does the
she
headbutt.
goes to headbutt back.
Yeah.
And then
he gives her a
puts
double
her through
headbutt.
through the ground with a headbutt. It was awesome. It was an awesome moment.
Okay, but what was the most awesome moment in that little fight
Oh,
scene?
the Flash.
Yeah,
Flash
I
running.
thought the Flash.
Did it
realised
involve
that-
any eyeballs?
Yeah, lots of
Yes.
eyeballs.
Yes.
The Superman turning his head and watching
Yeah, that's pretty
watching
good.
the Flash.
Flash's reaction to that.
Yeah, and the Flash going, hang on, this is my thing.
Yeah. Holy shit.
I'm the fastest.
Yeah.
He can't have eyeballs faster than me.
And then when he breaks off, like, and fights the Flash for those couple of seconds, that's a pretty good sequence.
Yeah.
I think I felt that the Flash was still a bit faster than old Superman,
Yeah, I thought
because
so
otherwise
too.
he would have got his head
Well,
knocked off.
He would be dead because he is not a superhero. Like he doesn't have super strength. The Flash. So Superman could just snap you in half.
So let me just summarize. There's this big furious fight, and it looks like they're going to lose.
Yep.
And then they bring out the big guns, which is the kryptonite
Well,
Lois Lane.
Batman nearly loses his life. Like, seriously. He gets fucked up.
Batman
he gets thrown through a car, right? At which point he's probably broken about 4
all
ribs.
of his bones.
Yeah.
And he even says, you know,
Just
I think
my
I'm bleeding
bones.
something.
Something's
Yeah.
definitely
And skin.
bleeding.
Bleeding internally. And his jaw, like he nearly gets his head crushed. And then the big guns turn up.
Okay, so the big guns turn up. So let me do a bit of pacing here. It's a big fight. Big guns turn up. Turns into a lovey-dovey moment.
Yes.
Everybody looks and goes, ah. And Steppenwolf steals the box.
Well, no one's looking.
Well, because they just all walked away.
The dimensional
They
tube
left
lands.
the box back there in the spaceship unattended.
they-
And they're all looking like,
Well,
ah.
no, it was quite literally on the roof
No, it
of
was
a
in the
cop car.
spaceship.
No,
it was
it
on the
blasted
roof
out
of-
when
Was
Superman
it? Oh yeah, it fell out and landed on the cop car.
landed on top of the cop
Yeah,
car.
that's right.
So Steppenwolf didn't even have to look inside. He just landed in the car park. And,
Oh, there's
there it
the
is.
box.
They all
There it is
took
over there.
their eye, eye off the ball for a second.
All it takes, man.
Yeah.
It's all
It's all
it
it
takes.
takes.
Cyborg, I blame
Couple
Cyborg.
more.
Well,
He's got 3 eyeballs.
I blame the writers. Because surely there could have been a better solution. Like
Yeah.
perhaps Batman was holding on to it,
Yep.
but being broken and torn.
Yep.
You know,
It
Something.
writing wise, it felt a bit cheap, and it felt like it was a missed opportunity because if Steppenwolf
Yeah.
had to come into the middle of that battle,
yeah.
then Superman could have realised, oh shit, like it could have a 3-way battle going on with all those super dudes running around, flying and punching and doing. Like you could have done something with it, and I think maybe someone looked at that and said, "That's too hard. I can't choreograph."
Let me
that shit."
pitch it to you. So there's the big battle, then they pull out the big guns,
Yep.
and then Lois and Superman are looking into each other's eyes and they're talking and everybody's happy.
They could
And
have
then-
ended it with that though.
And then you have the heroes lined up, and they're all watching Superman and Lois, and they're all looking, and you pan past them very slowly, past the Flash, who's going, past
then
Wonder
there's
Woman.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah, and at the end is Steppenwolf, and he goes, grabs the box and pisses off.
And
That would have been better.
We cut back to the group and everybody's looking at Cyborg. It's your ball, man. You were
Yeah,
supposed to look after it.
Did you have a radar in your head?
All right, we need to jump because we're running
Oh.
running long.
Do we have to make this a 2-parter?
So
All right, so they have a team meeting.
Steppenwolf's got the Superman takes off with Lois. They they bolt, right? We don't know where to. They go back to the Batcave and meet.
We're almost there anyway.
Yeah, and they have to find Steppenwolf. They know he's got all 3 boxes now, so now they know
Yes.
time's up.
So
We've
that-
got
yep.
a matter of hours. We've got to find this guy.
They know how many hours. Doesn't somebody say it's going to take 19 hours or something?
Yeah.
To
Probably.
what? To warm them up?
Yep. That's exactly.
To push them together.
That's exactly what it is.
Because
They
now they
need-
have exactly just enough time as it takes to get there and solve the problem.
Steppenwolf has to have lunch. He has to wash
Has
his
to gloat.
wash his suit.
Write
He has-
a
he has-
letter.
He has to do some gloating on the internet.
Yep.
Humans, I've got your box now.
And now I've been waiting for the unity that he's
Yes.
trying to create.
Yeah.
That's the negative mirror image of the unity Justice League are trying to create. You've got a negative unity that will create chaos and destroy the world.
Right.
And the unity Justice League is trying to create is the positive.
Yeah, I like that.
I just thought I'd bring that in.
I like that. That's typical writer, right? ties it up in a nice, neat
And that's
narrative
not an
bow.
accident. That shit's not an accident.
Yeah, no, you're right. And
for-
it probably dates back to the original comic book writers, yeah.
possibly.
Because these mother boxes, they're not
Well,
a
the,
new
the,
thing.
the
I
three
don't
main
know.
characters. There's 3 main characters in this film, which is Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. They're the
Yeah.
trio, the DC trio that is a successful.
The unity, and
Yeah.
with the negative ones, they have to be pried apart.
Yep.
You know, to succeed. Whereas to succeed,
The
That
positive
ones
ones
have
have
to
to
be
be
together.
forced together.
together.
Yeah,
And
I
the
like
others
that.
have
I like that.
So
That's
there-
definitely a whiteboard moment for somebody over at DC and putting all the pieces together.
There were no studio
I just wanna
execs
know,
or
did it
Chardonnay
happen-
when that one was being discussed.
No, and did it happen in ye olde days? Did it
I don't
happen
know.
when Steppenwolf? Well, how far back are we going to see Steppenwolf in
I don't know. It'd be great
in
fun about-
law?
Back to the Lord of the Rings days.
Feel free to message us and answer that question
Yes,
for us.
let us know.
Let us know in the comments.
Are you keeping an eye on Twitch? We've probably got hordes of people sending messages in as we speak.
Ah, yes, we've got 1,000 responses.
and for the game developers out there, I'm sure they had a chuckle at the fact that it's called Unity,
Absolutely.
and it
Yes.
causes chaos and is a pain in the ass. I certainly did. I was like, yeah.
I like that.
All right, so there's an embarrassing moment with Aquaman and his truth rope. So, yep. And then...
yes, which I didn't find. I didn't mind that scene.
I like that.
That was okay.
That's very Whedon-esque again.
Yes.
It was very
it is.
Whedon-y. And then there's a big boss battle. And
the
heroes win.
Well, that's
That's exactly what happens.
that's a fast-tracked version of it.
So the civilians that we've been forced to care for get saved.
That's right.
Yes.
And she gets out the bug spray, right? But there's never a payoff for that.
No,
Yeah,
that's
she
right.
never uses it.
That's
And
right.
it's the same with the fishes with Aquaman. He's like, oh, yes, the water talks to the fishes, and that's not really me. And then nothing happens. He
No
doesn't
fish.
ever...
We see some whales right at the very end.
We could have had, like, the fish are emailing me, and there's, like, he's
they
up
on
in Norway.
Cutting room floor, perhaps, those
Maybe.
moments. I don't know.
Schneider bits that were cut off.
I know that the film was given a 2-hour maximum by the DC heads, because most of these
Enough for 4 bottles of Chardonnay.
most of the
And no longer.
DCEU films were 2 hours and half, 2.5 hours, and they said, "Nah, this one's got to be 2 hours flat," and so they made it exactly 119 minutes.
So
So
they
there's
all
probably a lot
fight
of stuff on the
Steppenwolf.
cutting room floor.
They all fight Steppenwolf, and nobody can stop him until Superman punches him to the ground, and then they win.
Yes, we
And-
see a lot of what we've already seen in the film already. Lots of
So we didn't need Justice League. All we needed was Superman. We could have just said, Superman, go and fix it. It's a bit like the...
Again, all we
bit
would
like
have
the
needed is a
Hawk.
bottle of the Scarecrow's fear gas that I'm sure Batman has somewhere in his gate.
spill it all over.
Spill it all over Steppenwolf, and the parademons would have taken care of him a long time ago.
Yeah,
like they did back in Lord of the Ring days the first time round.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that
the
was-
reality is there's not a lot.
That boss battle was pretty shit. I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
I
Compared
thought
to the rest of the film,
we needed to see a new combination of their
yes,
skills
yes,
used together in a new way
absolutely.
to succeed, and that was a big right of fail there.
And there was another fail on my perspective is that when you have, say you have the evil idol that summons the demon of Belrogium, when you get to the end of the movie, you actually have to summon the demon, and then the hero defeats the demon. He doesn't just crush the idol.
Yeah.
That's how those stories go. With the Unity box, that was going to do something, and I think Tom pointed out that all it was going to do was change the weather,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
right? But still,
Speed
you
up
had
global
to
warming.
you speed up global warming by 100 times.
Well, it sent out the black.
Yeah, it changed the world with these
black
tentacles.
rooty.
Yeah,
The thing.
But we didn't see it be super evil
No.
and dangerous.
No.
And just got very close, and then they conked
Yeah.
Steppenwolf on the head, and that was it.
Yep.
So yeah, I think they missed a story beat there where they
Yeah.
should have.
Mm.
And that would have, saying like to reverse that require all their
Yeah, they all
Yeah,
have to hold hands together and kiss and hug and do
Yeah.
Unity things, and
Yeah.
then it all
Yeah.
whatever.
And the reality is they pretty much put without Superman. They didn't know Superman was going to turn up,
no.
so they put it all on Cyborg.
Hey, I don't think Superman did turn up in the original thing, because all those Superman shots at the end, they have that horrible CG upper lip
Oh,
thing.
the mustache.
Yeah, they all have the king stash removed. So I wonder what the original
What-
script
what's-
called for. They must have been pickup shots. The
Can you
ones.
can you explain to us what you're
Stash
talking
Gate.
about? Yeah.
So
He was shooting. They did $25 million worth of reshoots, which is a lot. And
well, the reshoots wasn't what cost the money. The 25 million were all.
a lot
spent
of it
with-
was CG to get rid of the. He was also shooting Mission Impossible, the new Mission Impossible,
Oh, and they had to get rid of the
and
moustache.
Paramount would not let him shave the mustache off that he'd
Wouldn't it
grown
be
for
easy to
Mission
put a
Impossible.
fake moustache?
Paramount wouldn't let him shave it off.
It was contractually obliged to keep the mustache on.
We can create thousands of orcs.
Paramount-
Attacking Helm's Deep. We can't do a
No,
moustache.
Paramount
well, this
were being
Paramount,
dicks.
and this is
I know. I understand
Just
that.
straight
Warner
up.
Brothers, and they just were they
So,
were being
so they
dicks.
did that just to give Warner Brothers the finger.
Yeah,
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 pretty much.
absolutely.
Pretty much. And so he kept it on, and they digitally removed it in, I guess, as best a way as you can do that. I've done shots like that. I've digitally added blood to people who are talking onto their lips, and it's bloody hard.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, and you can. I
And the
guess,
mustache that they had to remove is not one here. It comes all the way down to
Yeah, it's a
here,
big fat thing.
which means you don't get to see the laugh lines and where they meet and everything. And it was just a mess, right? And because you know about it, Now that's all you'll see.
No, I think that makes
Even
it.
if you don't know about it, he looks weird.
Yeah, he looks a
He
little
does
bit
have
weird.
some
But
weird
I think
upper lip
people
shit
overhype
going
it a
on.
little bit. They hear that it's Dashgate and they're like, I saw it. Once you can't unsee it. It's bloody awful.
Yeah.
The fact remains, all those shots have it done.
Okay.
So all those shots in the end, well, I don't know, but it looks
Yeah.
to me like all those shots have mustache removal.
Yeah.
So all the Superman in that end fight is pickup shots.
So I don't know. We'll never know. Someone knows.
Well, we'll have to read the original script if we can get our hands on it.
All right, then. So we wrap this all up with Superman and Batman back at old Superman's house.
Well, no. They all stand over the battlefield in their heroic pose
true,
up
yes.
on the wall,
and we've got one
while
weird
flowers of some off-world
alien
species
flowers.
grow up out of the root system or whatever it is that these Steppenwolf mother boxes had already created.
The mother weeds.
Yeah, they turn into these off-worldly sort of flowers.
These
This
beautiful flowers.
Beautiful scene with these beautiful flowers.
Yes, what a load of bullshit.
Yeah, from destruction and death comes beauty and
It's still an introduced pest species.
Yeah, I know. There's probably
and you feel like the little girl's picking it and smelling it.
Yeah,
whatever.
I
You don't know what that is.
maybe that is actually Steppenwolf's home planet, and it's like covered in these things, but they're all poisonous.
And it's
or
a
something
slow
or other.
creep. It's going to take
Yeah.
over for his plan actually worked.
Yeah.
And I wanted just to quickly mention Steppenwolf himself, the actor wasn't actually there.
It was a terrible CG performance.
Anyone that's played Skyrim is going to spot. He's I don't know how to pronounce it. A dragon, which are the dead Vikings, basically in Skyrim.
The
The Steppenwolf guy.
Yeah, Steppenwolf guy. I've chopped my way through hundreds of Steppenwolfs playing Skyrim.
oh really?
Yeah, I just saw that and went, really?
The
You could have
voice.
picked one of the cool things from Skyrim, but you picked one of the common enemies.
The voice
grunts.
of Steppenwolf was
That's what he looks like in the comics.
Kieran Hines. He's an Irish actor, and here I'll throw a photo of him up on the.
Oh yeah.
This is Kieran Hines. Recognize this guy?
Nope.
He's been in a lot of things. He's been a bad guy in a lot of things.
A lot of things I didn't see.
Tinker Tailor Soldier, Rome,
Who-
Harry Potter. In Harry Potter, he was. Who was he in Harry Potter?
Iberforth Dumbledore.
I think he was one of the
It says there.
professors.
Yes, it says Iberforth Dumbledore, so he must be...
The young Dumbledore?
No, this is Iberforth, so he was a
It's
relative.
the pub
A,
owner. He's
his
one of the
brother or
Dumbledore's brothers owns the pub,
Yeah,
doesn't he?
something like
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah. So he's the voice. Now, what I had a problem with in this film was that his voice was so muffled, and they did something weird to his voice, and it always made it sound weird coming out of that character. It sounded all like he was talking with fucking marshmallows in his mouth or something. It was all.
And the face was terrible. I
Yeah,
thought.
it was terrible CG performance. If Weta were on this film, I don't think they did that character. There's no way Weta would have done that character. They're too good at it.
All right, moving along. We wrap up with Superman and Batman being friends.
Batman has bought the bank that foreclosed on the farm, and Martha
Batman's got the farm
gets
back.
the farm back.
And they get the farm back. And then there's some closing dialogue thing by Lois about hope and all sorts of things that are happy.
Lois gets her writing
Mojo
back, and we end with a narration of her writing her.
Hope. And
It's funny that
Justice
early
for
in the film,
all.
she says, "Oh no, I'm only ready to do puff pieces," and she does a puff piece.
She does another
Superman.
all right. That's it.
That's it, except for the credit scene, which is the Flash.
Is that on YouTube? The other one you were talking about?
Yeah.
Lex
Oh no,
Luthor
no,
for
no, I
Death
don't know
Strike?
what's on YouTube.
Damn.
So at the end, Lex Luthor is on the boat. Slade Wilson is one of the Green Arrow's nemesis. He's got the eye
summoned.
patch because he got arrow,
Yeah, yeah.
arrow through there, and he's just a badass.
He's an
sword
assassin.
fighter. He's an assassin, yeah. So he's a bit of a downgrade
Yeah.
after we've just seen gods fighting.
And
Doesn't
that's
seem so.
That's the second credits.
Yeah.
That's right at the very end of all the credits.
Which Google Play didn't include. Thank you very much, Google.
I'm a
You
bit
are
disappointed that we see Lex Luthor again because Jesse, what's his name? Jesse Fuck
Oh,
is-
the bloody.
the actor.
No idea.
Worst Lex Luthor ever. Right, ever. Out of comics, of any adaptation of that character, he was the worst. And we're stuck with him. And now we've got to look at him with a big bald head.
He did go a bit hyper, didn't he?
Yeah. So he's escaped, and he's sitting on a... He's sitting in a big, very luxurious yacht that anyone can find, probably with his name on the side of it. But, yeah, the middle credit sequence is Superman racing Barry Allen.
And they go into the old mansion. They say this is going to be our new headquarters.
Yes, pre-credit.
Oh, that's right.
They talk about building a table that seats 5,
Yeah, and it looks like the cartoon.
and she says, but with room for more. So obviously we're going to get more. Green Arrow
The Wonder Twins, hopefully.
Chardonnay-
Green Lantern.
I just read this Chardonnay scene at the start with the burglar that we saw didn't quite fit.
Yeah,
It was written by Joss Whedon. So it would have been a late edition.
there you go. It felt jury rigged into the
Yeah.
to the thing.
Critical acclaim, I just want to pop into quickly.
Yes.
When I went and did a whole bunch of reviews, anybody who has any care to do a review has a negative review.
Yes.
If you go on to, and I think this is telling, if you go onto Rotten Tomatoes, it has a tomato meter score, which is like the critics, right? The critics give it 40%. Average 5.3, so about 50%. But the audience give it 75%.
Yeah. Something going on.
If you go onto IMDb, it gets 6.7. So basically, that's what I saw when a lot of people who were like on YouTube making reviews of the movie universally pretty much thought it was trash.
Yeah.
Different types of trash. And if you go and read these sort of reviews by the critics, they're like, blah, 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 this is really blah, blah, blah. You know, and they're all very, very negative. But I think the telling thing is, because this is my feeling, the audience score 75%. So, to bring that around to my opinion, I liked it.
Yeah.
It was...
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I agree. It wasn't like, it was okay. It was competently done.
It wasn't a bad movie.
Yeah.
And it was entertaining. It's unlike Batman vs. Superman. This is a film that I would readily watch again.
Yeah.
I could watch that a couple more times.
It's
Yeah.
not award-winning cinema, right? But it wasn't a bad film.
People complained that the plot was really boring, or Steppenwolf was really lame, and he wasn't awesome enough. But I think that it was all adequate for a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it was they were all of
I-
the things that are in popcorn
Dave, I would
movies.
say it is a bad film, but it's one of those bad films that, once again I bring out the gentleman. What's the
League of
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
a rotten film,
Yeah.
and I could watch it over and over again anytime.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
This is in the same category. It is a
Okay.
bad film.
Now
It
for
is
me,
a bad film. It's a bad story, but it is entertaining enough
Yeah.
to be rewatchable.
There's enough to watch.
Yeah.
I don't call it bad. I think it's sort of
It's got
it's
a
blandish.
lot of faults.
Yeah.
It's blandish, but I see it more in the line of, and I think I've said this before, that if you're going down to buy a chocolate cake and they give you a chocolate cake with bacon on it, you don't want that. You went down to get a chocolate cake, and I want chocolate cake with chocolate, and that's what they gave you. It's a chocolate cake, and it's got all the things you expect in a chocolate cake.
Absolutely.
And that's it. It's just,
Yeah.
it's all you ordered for.
It's
Yeah.
satisfactory.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Right.
it's and
Yeah.
it, you feel like there's a setup there that you want to be surprised by something. You want where's the stuff? Where's the wow? Like, you're giving me all the stuff I want, but I want stuff that I didn't know I wanted.
Yeah.
See,
And
that's
it feels
what my
like that's what people are cranky about. That poo the fucking film is that it's got everything that's supposed to be there, but where's all the stuff that I wasn't expecting?
Yeah, and
Like,
if the,
what
and this is the fine line between this stuff is that what you sort of have to do is you have to be, true to the thing
Yeah.
plus a little bit inventive.
Yeah.
But you can't just smash it and, like I said, put bacon on the chocolate cake, because people will then say, well, that's a stupid idea. Why'd you put bacon on the damn chocolate cake?
Exactly.
I just wanted a chocolate cake with some extra fancy bits, just
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of something else extra. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's also hard because, we're drowning in superhero films.
Yeah.
And at the moment, making a satisfactory superhero film doesn't
Tough ask.
cut it.
Yeah. Yeah. What on one hand you can say that, right, and I do totally agree, and then out of nowhere you get something like Black Panther, that is kicking goals, like it's doing some really good things. But even this film, like when you look at in the DCEU, I'm looking at box here. I'll throw it up here and you can see.
I haven't seen Black Panther yet.
Check out this, right? It is ranked number 5 out of these 5 films.
In terms of what? Money,
earnings, popularity. Look at its second week fall off.
So which 5 films are we talking about?
Out of the DCEU films.
Yep. So Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and Justice League.
So the box office, domestic. Look at the domestic gross, like it's way down, and the Man of Steel is sort of, marginally sort of in front of it compared to some of the others.
I think it's fairly average for all of those. It's just that Wonder Woman is higher.
The problem is that this one costs nearly $300 million. Okay. These other ones, 150 million, 175, 250. That's pretty expensive. This, and I honestly can't see Snyder getting another gig. Can you? Is he going to get? Are they going to keep him around? Because he did this one, right? His studio produced this one, the Suicide Squad, Batman, Superman.
I enjoyed Suicide Squad. I'll put it out there. I thought it was good.
Did you? I haven't seen it yet. I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's better to me. It's better than Justice League.
You have to go. These are all the accolades, right? Where you compare franchise. Where does it sit in the Superman franchise? Well, it doesn't really get a number for that one. But genre, superhero genre. It is ranked 29th. This is box office, right?
Okay.
So it is the 29th most successful superhero film. That's pretty... When you click on that genre and see, well, who's in front of it, you start to see some films here that, Spider-Man 2. There's some films in here that are not really good films. So something's going on in the landscape that we're not used to when it comes to films. And we've spoken about this in the past, and we'll keep talking about it in the future. There's a new law around films, popular films, pop films like these, where you're prejudged to such a degree, and then your success is rated on box office earnings, not on the quality of the film, or the quality of the writing, or the quality of the acting, or any of that sort of stuff.
Or how much the audience enjoyed it on Rotten Tomatoes at 75%.
So if it's judged on box office, is that not an exercise in marketing and advertising and cross-promotion and toys and all these other fucking things? And so that's why I can look at this film and say, well, no, I don't agree with most of the shit about this film, because I didn't see all of that. I saw a film that was a superhero film with a lot going on in it. It was a establishment film, an origin film for some of those characters we'd never even seen before, and they got away with it. They did it. It wasn't a mess. That was not a mess, and it could have been and should have been a mess.
And I've read reviews where they said exactly that it was a mess. There's too many characters, and you get lost. And then when I saw the film, I don't agree.
Batman vs Superman was a mess. To me, it was a fucking mess. I didn't know what I was supposed to think. I didn't know what I was supposed to feel while I was watching the thing. I didn't know who I was supposed to care about, or I didn't understand what they were trying to make in front of me. This, I understood it. I followed it all the way through. Now, it's hard to listen to 2 hours of us, pulling it to pieces. That's just what we do here, right? And we'll find fault everywhere just because we like to laugh. It's
like there's a reason we would never cover Schindler's List.
Exactly right.
We would be banned from several countries.
I see that as a challenge, though.
I couldn't even be on the show, honestly.
Tune in next week.
Can't invite the German to that one.
Jokes have already started.
But having, we're always going to find, things to laugh about and that sort of stuff. But this is by far nowhere near as the 29th worst superhero film.
Not at all.
There's no way. It's sort of in the same area as most of them. Some of them stand out. Wonder Woman, I thought, had a lot more heart.
It's just not a standout superhero film.
That's right. All. That's right. So it's not a bad film, but it just wasn't a good film. It was just a superhero film. So I don't think it deserved most of its shit. Now, as we rate in our buy, burn, borrow,
Mm-hmm.
where does this one sit? Tom?
I haven't bought it yet, but if it's on sale somewhere for
Yep.
$12, I probably would.
Yep.
Sale buy.
Yeah. So you'd put it in the collection? Yep.
Yep. On sale.
Yeah, I'm a high borrow.
I borrow. How many?
Borrow eagerly.
How many dots do we have on this spectrum of three things?
Hey, yeah,
Are you starting to? We're
We're
starting to
the
see a
low
pattern
buy,
with
the
Dan.
high borrow.
We're starting to see
it's
a
the
pattern with Dan.
enthusiastic borrow.
the spectrum has three stages.
It doesn't matter what we do. If we
Not-
say, right,
not
we're going to
10.
be rating it out of 5 ducks, right? Dan will say, nah, I give it 2.5 frogs.
Yes.
They have to be whole fucking animals, Dan.
Well, there's two, and you stick them together.
All right. So generally,
what's yours?
Well, I'm the same. I bought it. Mainly, I'll buy anything that's got that type of budget and in visual effects and things like that. But I would buy it for its film value as well. As a film, I would buy it, and I wouldn't want my money back. I think it's something that is, and I
sit on
agree.
the shelf.
I agree. It's something you could dig out in a couple of years or even 12 months and watch it and still be entertained by it. Yeah, I think the pacing was great. It's got a lot going for it. I would have loved to have seen a Junkie XL soundtrack though. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Danny Elfman.
I'll have to listen to it.
And here's a bit of Danny Elfman trivia. He was in Oingo Boingo.
What
That,
the fuck is Oingo Boingo?
They
It's
were
a
an
band
80s
from the 80s.
one-hit wonder.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Weird Science.
Was he in that band?
I'm pretty sure. Like,
You're
double check
kidding.
it while we're still on air.
I love that film. Love that film.
Yeah, that was their only song, wasn't it?
Kalila Brook. I know that is the only song.
I can only remember the band Oingo Boingo. I can't remember.
That
any
was
of
a
the
one-hit
songs
wonder.
they did.
That song. It was a big hit.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was in Oingo Boingo.
All right, so that's it for another week. We ran a little bit long, but it was a film that had a lot to talk about.
Yes.
And we put it down to the fact that Rik has taken forever to actually come and join us, and that blew the cobwebs off the discussion box, shall we say. So we need you to come back sooner rather than later. Anything exciting on the horizon, gentlemen, before we sign off?
Yes, you can catch us on the Twitters.
On the Twitters,
The Voyage of the Geek.
the Twitch Live, on YouTube
Voyage of the Geek.
Live.
Also called Voyage of the Geek.
Voyage of the Geek Facebook page as well.
And the Facebook page called Voyage of the Geek.
The Facebook page, we like to put whole slews of interesting
Crazy things.
gaff that we come across in. Basically, we just treat it as a depository of anything we come across in life, and we stick it there, and then we know it's one place we can go and find it when we need it later on. So yeah, check all those things out, and feel free to drop us a line through any one of those mediums. And until next time, it's bye from me.
Mystic Knights of Oingo Boingo.
Is that the name of the band?
No, that's my farewell. Yes, that is the.
That's your sign off.
I just checked it.
All right,
That's my sign off.
fucking say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Many